wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Late evening on the 20s. What's with my microphone? It's doing its own thing. It's changing colors on me. Look at this. I didn't ask it to do that. Software must have updated without my permission, and it's changing colors right in front of me. That's a little distracting. Let me take care of that very quickly. I didn't authorize the software update. Okay. How's that? Oh, this program's not there. That's part of the problem. So where's this thing at now? Oh, my goodness. Seriously? Seriously? There we go. Okay. Wow. Okay. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right, now we're good. Now the color isn't changing. There we go. That was so distracting. What do you mean we were waiting for you? I was here. I was here. The color wasn't right, so the color's right now. The color wasn't. Okay, good. Just checking the sound. All right, good. Welcome back to the program, folks. It's the evening of the 2nd of March, the morning of the 3rd of March for those in the future. Hello again. Welcome to Jay Evans for subscribing. Gideon Maloney, welcome to you. Skalk Badenhorst. Elizabeth Kruger, good morning. Enjoyed seeing all your certificates last night. Really, well, that's not all of them. that's a portion of them. That's a portion of my mementos and certificates and awards and decorations. So there were 2 more that just real quick. This was never officially awarded. Congress never approved this. They did approve it, but they never did issue it in the military service, which is unfortunate. But this is something everyone who served during the Cold War should have gotten. This is the Cold War Medal for those who fought in the Cold War for a good 50 years. And so it was never issued to military members for recognition of your service. But I went and got myself one because it's authorized. Just was never officially awarded in the services, but authorized by Congress. So I got that. And then I dug up, looking for something last night, I dug up my medal from Liberia, which is interesting. I was looking for something else and came across it, so I don't show these things very often. Now I forgot where I put it at. It's in the other box. Hang on. There it is. So this was awarded to me by the government of Liberia for rebuilding the armed forces of Liberia in the post-conflict era. There's 2 levels of the award, or 3 levels. This is the highest level, the gold. It's the Distinguished Service Order, and to my knowledge, this has only ever been given out, when I received it, only been given out 18 times in the almost 200-year history of, what is it? Yeah, almost 200-year history of Liberia, 18 times. So that's pretty cool. Anyway. But it won't give me a cup of coffee anywhere. So it's nice, and I'm grateful for it. It also took them 15 years to get it to me after I did what I did there. But I did get it, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you to Liberia for recognizing my efforts there. Well, it could be worse. I mean, Lieutenant Cushing was given the Congressional Medal of Honor 150 years after the Civil War ended. He died at that battle and was given the award 150 years later. Anita Fari, welcome to you. I do hope you have a good week ahead. Lady bless. Yeah, it should be a good week. I do have some fake news to cover here. I say fake news because News 24 breathlessly reports it. There's 2 articles in News 24 today that are meant to frighten those interested in the refugee program from applying for it. And I'm going to discuss them, and I'll rubbish both of these stories very quickly. So I will make a video after this before I go to bed. I have to get up early because I'm off to the War College for work this week. And so I will make a video since these stories just came out in the last hour. I was busy working on a documentary for the Golden Gate Park in South Africa. And so I'll give you a sneak peek of what it looks like here. Hang on a second. Why is it not? There we go. Okay, so this is my software I'm working on, and I've taken my photographs from 2 trips through the Golden Gate Park. And you just can get a sneak peek. If you look in the upper right-hand quadrant, you'll see this is not compiled yet. I'm just put it in order. I've got to put a script in there with it and narrate I'm going to narrate the video. So anyway, just maybe put some music behind if I can find some music that's not copyrighted. But just to give you an idea of what I was working on before this, because people are always whining, you never do anything positive about South Africa. It's all slam in South Africa. Now, I do lots of stuff positive about South Africa, and you just don't watch it, and then you whine about me not doing it. But anyway, so here you go. So there you go. That's what it looks like. That's the software I'm using. So look in the upper right-hand quadrant, and you'll see it. There you go. So that's so this is going to be narrated by me. So let's show you the Golden Gate Highlands National Park, just north of Lesotho, between Clarence and Puta-Chibijaba. So that's Puta-Chibijaba, the town on the way there from Clarence. So you're just getting a sneak peek without the audio attached to this, without the narration that I'll be putting into it, which hopefully will be better than the chat I'm giving you right now. But this is, I'll include the Basotho Cultural Village, and I'll play this until that's the road in, you can see. Now the park is up there past that mountain, or up there around the entrance to that mountain, that pass. The road curves around to the right, to that big mountain over there, that big peak. So I'm going to share, here you go. So now you're getting closer, and the road starts to hook to the right and go to the right-hand side of that big mountain. And there it is. As you get closer, you'll see the gate as you come up to the park. Coming up a little further. So still, I guess I put more photos in than I realized there. There's the gate, the eastern gate, and they don't bother to check you or make you pay a fee anymore. The western gate, I think they do. And you see the lovely sandstone formations. They found the oldest dinosaurs in Africa, I believe, down here. Or the oldest in South Africa, anyway. There's the road. And this is going to the Basotho Cultural Village. You can see that was a different time frame because it was spring, it was green. And that's the hill cropping overlooking the Basotho Cultural Village, which was dedicated in the 1990s. There you go. I'll play one little bit more, and then I'll stop here. You can see that's weathered. They haven't taken care of that sign. Yep. Just absolutely stunning countryside. This is just outside Lesotho, barely in South Africa. It's in the Free State. Oh, satellite dish. Outside the Rondeval. Yep. You see, these would be great places to set ambushes for attackers.
This is our sketch for the girls. It's made from the plants. It's one of the bottle blue. So our parents, they normally took 1 year to 2 years or 3 years to make one sketch. It's a hard work to make this. It was one of the important sketches for the girls because when they sit on the ground, all the strings will be covering the brightest parts of a girl.
So you just get a sneak peek there of about the first quarter of that video. So I hope that you found that interesting. Let me save that before it crashes on me. Save project. Okay, because I put a lot of work into that. Spent the last couple hours working on that. And that's a video that'll be forthcoming maybe tomorrow. Just depends how things go. But it won't be, you won't see it till late tomorrow night or on Tuesday because of the time I get back from the War College. Anyway, Jarethra, welcome to you. Terrence, Anita Furry, Holden Caulfield, Bushfeld Butt, Thomas Holmes, Nick Groves, welcome back. AJ Quinn, Pete DeConte, Ons Blood is Orange. Yep, Rania. Good morning, everyone. New day. Things, yeah. Zede Volmerans, Vloei, Rainier, Chugsy, Vloei. Where's Chris? I'm here. I was here at 11 o'clock. What do you mean, where am I? It was Chris. Very impatient, aren't you? Martinus Lorenz, welcome to you. Peter van der Westhuizen, Ilse Hugo, Johanna Gillespie. Johanna Gillespie, that's an interesting mix. Somebody Fundamava, good morning all the way from New Zealand. Let's see, it must be, 5 in the afternoon there for you. Francois Leroux, welcome to you. Oh, it's my fellow Neanderthals and canines, welcome. Peter John Vlust, Martin Mall, Larissa Slaughter, Janet Liddy. Hey, Janet, well, you're up late. Alfonso Ferreira, what will happen to American conscripts fighting Ukraine? Sometimes your questions make no sense. I wonder if you're trolling. There are no conscripts. America doesn't have conscription. It ended in 1974. We have an all-volunteer force. There are no conscripts. There will be no conscripts. Matt Canali, there you go. Good to see you, Matt. I've not kept up on Major League Rugby this year. It really hasn't held my interest. I was asked if I was going to go down and cover the Old Glory game this weekend, but right now the priority is information for folks in South Africa, so I didn't go. Luke, what's going on there? And Annalie Hussein, welcome to you. S.A. Pete, Dennis LaRue. And I may miss a few here because the chat jumps ahead. I'm trying not to. Heinrich Schönefeld, welcome to you. Omergan, Jules, Tailfinder, Warhawks, George, DeBaram, Taroko Railways. That's Elizabeth. Hello. Keith Alderson from Coventry. Boy, I missed a lot of people here. Abby, welcome to you, Abby. Petey, goedemorgen man, gezien dat daar en allemaal terug naar de ere toe. Amen. Okay. Thanks, Petey. Michael De Beer, quick question regarding refugee program. Can I go over and settle and then bring my wife and children? That's an option, Michael. but there's no guarantees, but it's a good chance. But then you leave them behind. So what happens is you have 2 years normally under the law, although they can make adjustments to it. But you normally have 2 years after you arrive. And the reason this happens is that with refugees fleeing from conflict zones, oftentimes families are separated, and you don't even know if they're alive or whatever. So you don't sit around and wait till they find your family. You go ahead and apply. So a family member may apply for asylum, be granted it, relocated to the U.S. or somewhere else, and then later, you discover where your family is or they were physically separated from you, and you put an application in on their behalf once you're here. But the smart money is just apply for everybody at once. Louise Rayner, I don't know why you'd want to leave your family behind. It doesn't make any sense. And the officer doing the refugee interview would probably ask you, why would you want to leave your family behind? Unless you have a compelling reason. Look, I'm not the one doing the interview, but I would imagine unless you have a compelling reason, they're going to be raising an eyebrow like this. So you want to come to America as a refugee because your life is in peril and you're in jeopardy. It's so dangerous that you have to flee the country. So we're generously going to let you come over, and we're going to give you all kinds of money. We're going to take care of you, get you over there, but you're going to leave your wife and kids behind. Won't they be in danger too? I mean, if I was the guy, that'd be the question I'd ask you. And that might be a compelling reason. Your wife might have to stay because her mother is dying and she can't go right now. Needs to be with her in the last days. Okay, that might be a reason, something like that. But I mean, if I was interviewing, you know what I'm saying? So, Mr. DeBeer, Neil is in. No, I'm sorry, Michael. Michael DeBeer. Okay, we've got your application here. We have no criminal record to speak of here, and yep, you qualified for this program. We'll set you up to get you in the process to get you over. And do you have the funds paid for the flight? If not, that'll be taken care of the International Organization of Migration. You'll just have to pay them back over time. Not immediately. You get a 6-month grace period. And if things don't go well initially for you and you don't have enough income, you can always ask for a deferral, and that often is given, usually granted. So, the goal is to get you to safe haven, not to delay you. So, but you have a wife and 2 kids. Why aren't the kids coming? Oh, because they have finished high school? Well, that doesn't sound like you really want to be a refugee to me. You see where I'm coming from? All right. So I don't sit in those interviews. You take your chances. You roll the dice. Louise Rayner, welcome to North Coast Courier, also pumping the fake op-ed, says expropriation bill is nothing to be concerned about, merely makes Section 235 understandable. No, Section 235 was understandable. It's very clear. The English is quite clear. It's not confusing at all. Yep. Sarah Skuman, welcome to you. I don't know what North Coast Courier is. I never heard of it. Must be some little Moxnick's tiny-ass little publication. Natasha Postumus, welcome to you. Interesting day ahead with Tucker Carlson here. Yeah, apparently that'll be coming out in a few hours. So we'll see how it goes. You guys will know about it before I do. I'll be at work. I won't be able to see that when it's released at 9 o'clock. Maybe I can take a break at 10 and check it out. And it's because that's all people are going to talk about. When I go on my mobile later today in about 12 hours and I do my news program from my mobile in my car, freezing my bum off because it's just above freezing temperature right now. When I do that later today, speaking of which, that reminds me. Before I leave, I got to remember to take my tripod with me so I can set up on the dash. So before I freeze my bum off in 11 hours, I'll try to watch it because I would just be inundated. Tucker said this. Tucker, what do you think? What do you think? I know that's coming, so I got to watch what Tucker says, but I won't be able to watch all of it. It's going to be long. So I'm probably just going to have to say, well, I don't know. I'll watch it later. I don't know. I'll watch it later, but I'll do my best. ANC wants to borrow money from the World Bank. World Bank told them to relax. Do you think ANC will do that? Well, they're going to go to the BRICS Bank, and the BRICS Bank is going to say, we already gave you $1 billion in 2020. What'd you do with that money? So they won't get any money there. The African Development Bank will probably offer to give them something. But again, the African Development Bank has got a lot of influence from Washington, so maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. Jumbo Spotter, thank you for your membership. Brett just gave a super chat. Thank you for that, Brett. Saying Putin and Zelensky are both dictators. Well, yeah, that's true. Charmaine, somebody just said the gate's no longer there. Ormagan says that's what Ormagan wants to do for their son. We'll see what happens. I'm not really sure what you're getting at. Do you want to leave like a high school age kid behind so they can finish high school? Look, this isn't about comfort and joy. This is about escaping. That's what refugee programs are for, to escape certain death or jeopardy. So, either you're in jeopardy or not. If you're not in jeopardy, then you don't go anywhere. That's as simple as that. That was with Charmaine. So, answered that one. Jarethra says that gate's no longer there as a big truck went through and took the roof and half the building with it. You saw it happen? Wow. Okay. Interesting. Let me go back and see that. Which one is that? At the Golden Gate, huh? That's fascinating. Come on, where's that damn picture at? I can't see it on this screen. It's too small. Anyway, yeah, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, wow. Interesting. Didn't know that. That's news to me. That's news to me. Yeah, it does remind me of New Mexico, Holden. It reminds me a lot of New Mexico. That's what it looks like there. Charmaine, Blade Wolf, excuse me. Good morning. What are your views on the EU and EK now stepping up to commit billions to support Ukraine? I haven't seen them step up. I haven't seen the EU announce any money. I've seen the Brits do it. $3 billion. It's a joke. $3 billion. We've given $350 billion. What do you think $3 billion is going to accomplish? Ukraine's going to win the war with $3 billion? I ain't even going to buy bullets. It's a joke. The UK's a joke. What do they have? 10 soldiers left? Size UK army's a joke. There are more freaking taxi drivers in Cape Town than there are people in the British military. Give me a break, man. It's a joke. You abseiled down that mountain. Oh, did you, Rodell? Cool. Well, it's good to see people know the area. Visited Golden Gate, beautiful, but sadly now crime has also... Yeah, no, there's crime there too. It's, yeah. Delaney Hall, Sloth Puppy, Rion, PJ, Marky, Pretorius, and a bunch. There's Delaney Hall. And then we got Kurtz Verhoeven says, some years ago, myself and my schoolmates went whitewater rafting down the Umkomas River near Lesotho. I'll bet that was amazing. I've done whitewater rafting in Uganda on the Nile. Woo, that was wicked. I got a video on the channel for it. Where's that? Let me see if I can find that one. Is that on this channel? We're going to do it Nile. Okay, let me try whitewater. Whitewater rafting. 31 videos. Whitewater. That's 0 when I do whitewater. Must be on the other channel. Thank you for your membership. Sorry I missed that. Okay. Show all. Come on. I'm looking. It would have been a long time ago. It's only 17 here. It said 31. That gives me 17. YouTube. Anyway, I can't find it now. It's there somewhere. But I did a video of me doing the whitewater rafting, which was pretty cool. How does it work for an unaccompanied minor? Well, unaccompanied minors, usually there's a refugee assistance place like the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees who will file on their behalf. Yeah, they do that. They do unaccompanied minors as well. Yep. Yaku Basson, welcome to you. Christian Peterse on Kotze, but I have no idea how it's going to work in South Africa. As I mentioned many, many times, this is an unusual situation. Not unprecedented, but unusual. We don't normally take refugees from countries that aren't at war or haven't collapsed. Normally, we take refugees fleeing in helicopters onto aircraft carriers from Saigon in 1975, or boat people fleeing from Vietnam who get to the Philippines and then want to come here, or, refugees from Chad or from Sudan from Darfur who go to Chad, or from Sudan to South Sudan to Uganda or Somalia to Kenya, things like that. So you're normally registered with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, but in this case, it wouldn't necessarily be the case. We've done it for Cuba, we've done it for Bosnia and Herzegovina, and a number of other places. So we don't know until the information is released. It's impossible to say. But mostly common sense should apply here. But there's not a lot of common sense in South Africa. Trust me. At times, I just shake my head. Some South Africans are as dumb as Americans can be. Rolf Fundameva, welcome to you. Volunteers, what will happen to them? What do you mean, what will happen to them, Holden Caulfield? What's your question? You said conscripts in Ukraine. There are no conscripts in Ukraine, and there are no conscripts in the military, and there are no soldiers in Ukraine. What will happen to them? The same thing happened to me. My combat tours, you get deployed, you do your job, hopefully you survive and come home. If you don't, hopefully you had life insurance. Otherwise, your survivors are screwed. Jumbo, how does it work? Oh, I already answered that question. Okay. Graham Kelly, welcome to Crypto Noob is back. Lawrence Swanepoel, welcome from Wellington. I love Wellington, Lawrence. Yep, beautiful. One of my favorite photographs. In fact, which one is it? Is it my Twitter account? One of them has my photo of Wellington. Let me see if it's my Twitter account. It's back. A lovely photo. Let me see if that's the one. Come on. Yep, that's from Wellington. Here you go. So check out. That photo right there is Wellington. It's the mountains, obviously, behind Wellington, right there. See that one there? Took that when I went to Steve Hofmeyer's concert at Velbedocht. That's not at Velbedocht, obviously. That's where I stayed at, the lodge I stayed at, just east of the town. Yep. Cool beans. So, there you go. That's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite shots. You can't see the whole picture because of the way the size they do, but it's beautiful with the flowers on the bush there and mountains behind it. It's just gorgeous. One of my favorite photos. I will immodestly say I take great photos. I've got some great photos. Anyway, who else we got here? So Ants is back. Good to see Ants, one of the OGs. Odin Viking. Jumbo Spotter just became a member. Thank you so much for that once again. And Brett, thank you for the super chat. What's the temperature here? It's 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius inside, 35 degrees outside. So 35 outside is going to be about 1 degree Celsius. So big difference there. Yep. So Putin was the aggressor, but he needs to leave all Ukraine alone, at least in Ukraine. Well, good luck making him do that, Brett. Zelensky is not really a dictator. He's a comedic actor playing a role as dictator. He's 2 years old, but I don't think his mother will go or let me take. Okay, gotcha, Ormagon. That's your situation. Yeah, okay. Well, that's a problem. Yes, that is a problem, Ormagon. That's 100% a problem. So, yeah, that's a tough situation because here are the options. If the mother won't let you take the child and you're not with the mother, then you're screwed. You can't take the child. You can apply for status, I would believe, and be granted, but then the child just wouldn't go until the mother allows the child to go. So, I mean, I would ask that question if you go for refugee status when you're interviewed, ask if you can apply for the child, even if they don't travel now. I see what you're getting at, and I understand your situation. Yeah, I would recommend that. And if the mother doesn't grant the status, but then she takes holiday and comes to the States, if you get settled and you want to pay for it, you'd be able to see your child. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to go back and see your child. So that's something you have to consider. Yep. Is that the question we're looking for too, Jumbo Spotter? Maybe that's the issue. But you said unaccompanied minors is a little different. Feels a little like choosing beggars, this refugee program to get you and your family out. This isn't a menu. How do people not understand this? Family stay, try and build, or get out. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Artie just said, without a letter from both parents. And it's not just a letter. You have to have birth certificate. South Africa, really anal. I mean, they screwed over Idris Elba, who came to South Africa. They wouldn't let him bring his kid in the country because he didn't have his original birth certificate. South Africa was an idiotic country when it comes to this nonsense. They did it presumably to prevent child trafficking, but it doesn't prevent child trafficking. It prevents people with their kids from traveling. It's absolutely ridiculous. You have to travel with the original birth certificate every time you take your child. That's insane. Things get stolen, and the more you carry around original documents, the greater chances they'll disappear or be destroyed, and then you have nothing. This is the most asinine requirement I've ever heard of. If you have the passport from the child, and it's legitimate, and they're easy to confirm they're legitimate through the system, then what's the issue? What's the issue? All right, but is the process still the same? What process, John? Well, I just explained it, so maybe your question is a couple minutes behind me there. Yeah, it's about 6 minutes behind. Luke M. says, Southern's very strict with minors, no chance. Yeah, no, they're very, very annoying. Have I seen any Nile crocodiles? No, not when I was in the Nile. Not where I was at. They're further south. That was just past Juba. Not Juba, Jinja. I can't remember the name of the town. Yeah, down by the lake where the Nile comes out, whitewater rafting. It was pretty wicked. Where is that thing? I mean, I thought that video would have shown up on here. Anyway, done whitewater rafting where nothing in the water can eat you. Exactly, same here. Yeah, it's fun, but it's you gotta be flexible. You gotta be able to do things, and you gotta be comfortable being dumped because it's going to happen. You're going to get dumped in the water no matter how good your guide is because it's wicked. I mean, they get categories. I forget the category, but I talked about this. I ruined my Fitbit doing that. I forgot it was in my pocket, and it got soaked. I had to get another one. Francois Murray, welcome to you. Hot Full Bikers, Russians, okay. Marlies Muller, welcome to you. Luke, the only aggressor was NATO who broke Minsk II. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. Stop it. Aggressor. NATO didn't attack Russia. Stop that. That's just silly, Luke. That's just plain silly. That's just plain silly. There's no UK buffer zone. What UK buffer zone or Ukraine buffer zone are you talking about? What Ukraine buffer zone? NATO didn't invade. NATO is not present. So, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You want to complain about NATO in Libya? Okay, you got an argument there. But not in Ukraine. That's just silly. Why are you guys arguing about what's going on in Ukraine? None of you are there dying. Western propaganda. I don't know what you're drinking, Luke, but you're drinking something strong. So what? Ukraine was invaded by NATO? They threatened Russia? Dude, come on. Leslie Ann, morning. How you doing there? Missed the news? No, we're going to get to the news here shortly. This is the chat session. It's less of a news session. I don't do news twice a day. I do put some news in here, but I try to tamp down the constant flood of refugee questions in the other chat because it pisses off a lot of viewers who are not here to hear about refugee stuff. They want to hear me converse with them, answer the questions, talk about things, analyze things, give opinions and views for free, whereas you'd have to pay somebody a lot of money for that stuff. So I've tried to keep that to the news until after we get to the news. This one here, it's an open session for now. All right. I don't know what Mickey's saying. You need to click on the full image. What image? No, not soldiers, volunteers that went to Ukraine. They could lose. Oh, you said conscripts. Okay. You're talking about mercenaries. They're not volunteers. They're mercenaries. They're getting paid to go there. Or if they're not getting paid, then they're volunteers. Finland had volunteers in the Winter War, some from Sweden, a few from the U.S., some from Britain. Yeah, okay, gotcha. I understand now. Okay, well, the language wasn't precise, Holden. So if they're volunteers who went there and aren't getting paid, what will happen to them? Well, I don't know. Where do you mean? In Ukraine, in Russia, in the U.S.? Probably not in the U.S. They're not breaking any laws. It's not against the law to be a mercenary or be a volunteer in a foreign military. Now, if you become a member of a foreign military, actual member, you can lose your citizenship. If you go without your kid and then become a citizen, you can sponsor your kid's green card. Yeah, that could take some time, though. That's a good point, though, Arctic. But it's 5 years to become a citizenship, and if your kid is 2 years old, and then you still have to fight for custody, that's oof. Crazy weekend. All right. Hotful, you'll miss some in a minute because I'm going to cover something important. Hope you're well. Not sure if you spoke about all of our social media government officials pushing reform delegates to be arrested. I've talked about it, but that's fine. They're just ass wipes. They have no basis. AfriForum has committed no law violations. They have the best lawyers. Do you really think they would go to the United States and risk breaking the law? Not breaking the law. I think the racists that are trying to attack AfriForum should start being rounded up and arrested and put in prison for their stupidity. I mean, here's your sign. Stupid people should be on the street. They're a danger to public safety. My thoughts are with our boys who went to Ukraine for a better life and found themselves in a war. I don't know of boys going to Ukraine. You talking about ones who immigrated there a few years ago? I know ones who went to Russia. I don't know any that went to Ukraine. Maybe they did. I'm unaware of that. Okay, Loretta, how you doing there? Lawrence Hoffeld, what if my family don't want to go to the USA with me as refugee? Then they don't go, Lawrence. I mean, I don't understand that question at all. What if my family don't want to go? Then they don't go. Are you asking the question that you didn't ask? Does that mean you can't go? Are you an adult? Then you can go. Assuming you qualify. Mike Weston, how's it going, man? Okay, Troyco Hawkins, good to see you again. Play 24, you leave, then exactly where you are, and you save your own life. I'm sorry, but trust me when I say it's one of the best things to do. Okay. Oh, Troyco says, plant emergency, too much rain. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Bam, I can understand why it seems people are only looking for citizenship. Most have endured years of this mess. Well, it's not citizenship. Full stop. Halt. This is not a citizenship program. This is a refugee program for people whose lives are in peril. That's it. It's not asylum. You're not getting asylum. You're not getting citizenship. You're not an immigrant. You're not a migrant. You're a refugee under this program. Therefore, you get special status. You get treated real special, give you lots of money, lots of little gifts, hand you out lots of money. $2.7 billion in refugee assistance resettlement program. We spend $3 billion frickin' dollars a year resettling a few tens and 100,000 plus refugees every single year. Without fail, since 1980. 3.1 million people have come here, most of whom have a higher income than Americans born here. So let's get this straight right now. It is not an immigration thing. Now, why was I responding? I went off on that. Oh, it's not a citizenship thing either. You can, however, after being here for 5 years as a law-abiding refugee, should you desire, apply for citizenship. And you can be granted citizenship. which is actually a faster track than people come here as immigrants. They usually have to wait till 7 years or more to get that. So let's get that straight. People need to stop throwing terms around. I'm going to cover a story here shortly in which term is thrown around by some group calling themselves the Bitangas, and they're acting like total asses and talking about asylum. There's no asylum. This isn't asylum. This isn't immigration. This isn't migration. This is refugee. Very different situation. I don't know if you think you're going to put in a refugee camp in the U.S., you're a moron. You're a dumbass. You're about as bright as a 2-watt light bulb, and you're gullible. You're a fool. And if that dissuades you from applying for refugee status, good. We don't need stupid people in America. Stupid people can stay in South Africa. If you believe that shit and you're too lazy to figure it out on your own, that's your problem, not mine. I don't care. South Africa can keep all of its stupid people. The people that aren't stupid and believe that stuff, not believe that stuff, and actually find out for themselves. Camps? What camps? It's like the moron in the first night or first 2 nights. Well, you'll all be in FEMA camps. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They deal with hurricanes and earthquakes and floods and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. They don't deal with refugees. Refugees have nothing to do with FEMA. Do you know why they think that? Because criminal alien invaders came into this country and they forced FEMA illegally to house these criminals. And since there were 30 million of these fuckers that came in our country, sorry for the language, 30 million of them, there are only so many hotels. So they got put in tents. Refugees don't get put in tents. You're legally protected status. It's just stupid people, stupid stuff. South Africa can keep all its stupid people. They're welcome to stay there. I thought they were all in government, but apparently they're in society too, civil society, stupid people. Well, you're wondering if they're going to be waiting for him when he arrives here. Well, they're probably already in South Africa, so they missed their chance. Minsk 2. Okay, back to Luke M. Sorry, let's see what Luke M's got to say. He's responding to that comment. Jacques Borain, thank you for your membership. Elmarie Meyer, or Meyer actually, she's German. I'll take a photo of the ruins of the gate going to work at the car. Okay, thank you. Be careful there if that's okay. Okay, it looks as the only rest. Okay, that was earlier, so he responded to that. Covered that. Okay, why is this jumping around like that? There it is. Minsk was an agreement to keep NATO expansion out of Ukraine. Correct. They broke. No, they didn't. Ukraine is not a NATO member. How did they break it? They weren't even in discussion to be a NATO member. They weren't. That wasn't even in consideration. They didn't break anything. Ukraine is not in NATO, and it won't be in NATO. Putin's a liar. Putin's a liar. Don't give a crap what Putin says. Ukraine was never entering NATO. They weren't entering the EU either until Putin invaded. Now they want them in the EU. The second most corrupt country in all of Europe was not entering the European Union, and it was not entering NATO. It was not in NATO. So what do you mean they broke it? They didn't break anything. There are no articles of entry. There's no treaty. There's no signing of a treaty. There's no nothing. That's all horse manure. You actually believe that? First off, Luke, do you honestly think that Ukraine is part of NATO? Article 5 requires us to defend a country that's been attacked. If Ukraine was part of NATO, the United States would be in a war with Russia right now, as well as Canada and Norway and Denmark and UK and France and Germany and the Netherlands and Italy and Greece. We'd all be fighting Russia. They're not a part of NATO. Where are you getting this from, man? Where do you get your news from, dude? I don't mean to insult you, but where are you getting your news from? They're not part of NATO. No one broke anything. Still don't know how much it costs to send 2 cats to the States. I don't know either, Mickey. All I know is I paid like almost $3,000 to send my 2 cats from South Africa back to the States years ago. I don't know what it is now. Hey, Marius, how's it going? Did you see the article on News 24 about U.S. to cut fees for Civil Rights Commission? Jean-Pierre Mayer, that's fake news. Stay tuned. We'll get to that as soon as I finish the chat, and I'm near the end of the chat. I'm going to get to that, and I'm going to talk about that. It's good that 300 people are here so you can hear it, so you can start telling people the truth. This is the problem with Fake News 24, and I'm going to cover it, okay? The information is factual, but the way it's presented is dishonest and misleading. Thank you, Teresa, for the super chat. My 6th favorite American. What the hell is that? How did I go so far down the list? Now I'm suspicious. Okay. Some people don't listen. That's right. Is there any info news on what people in Ukraine are saying? Only from Western press. I don't speak Ukrainian. I don't read Ukrainian newspapers. The only information I have is what the captured Western press are telling us. What's the lifeline? God bless it. What is life like for refugees once they get to America? Oh my goodness, John James, you must be new to the channel. Asked and answered 3,742 times in the past 28 days, something like that. What happens to them? We put you in a camp. We have people with sunbucks. We put you on galleys and make you sail the Gulf of America, digging for oysters off the coast of Louisiana. Especially if you're white. No, sorry, John. So what happens? Well, it doesn't matter what your skills are. Doesn't matter your age. Doesn't matter your physical impairments. You will come here. You will be put in a place where there's a sponsor. You'll be provided housing. Then you have to provide for yourself. There is refugee assistance money that's allocated by Congress that goes to multiple different forms of it to cover medical, cash to tide you over. And then you're expected to find a job. You're given assistance to find a job. Boom, boom, boom. We pay $3 billion a year. We spend more money on refugees than South Africa spends on healthcare. Actually, that's a bit of a stretch. It's not really that bad. Probably more than they spend on education. But anyway, I'm being facetious there before someone runs and fact checks me, okay? $3 billion a year on refugee resettlement in the United States. So there's all kinds of assistance. Please watch my videos. This is all covered in the videos. There's a link. Every night I show it. It says right there on the channel, Trump, U.S. South Africa Refugee Assistance Program. The videos are there. Click on the title. It'll take you to all 29 videos or whatever it is. You can look and see the U.S. refugee missions to find out whether you're going to be eligible. Then you can see the other one about the background checks and the other one about financial assistance. All the questions are answered there. You've not asked a question at this point that someone else hasn't asked. And by the way, I anticipated most of those questions when I made those videos. What's life like for somebody who does not have any specific qualifications? Well, I mean, what do you want to do, John? Do you want to go to technical school? They got money for education too. Do you want to get a skill? Do you want to go work on a farm? Do you want to work at McDonald's? Do you want to work in retail? I mean, dude, I can't answer that question. I mean, there's 330 million freaking people here. 5,000 kilometers from one side of the country to the other, 3,000 from one side to the top to the bottom. And that's the lower 48. Plus we have Alaska and Hawaii. Although you're not going to Hawaii as a refugee, trust me, and only a handful of people go to Alaska. So, I mean, it's where I live at is completely different than 20 miles away. It's completely different 2 hours away, which is Washington, D.C., which is a cesspool. And Philadelphia's 2 hours away. New York is 3 hours away. Philadelphia, Baltimore's an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, all these places are very, very different. And this is one small place. So, dude, I really can't answer that question. I mean, you got to tell me where you're going and what they've told you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's what do you want to do? I mean, all I know is that the people who come here as refugees tend to do pretty well. Even those who are jihadists who slip in. We've had jihadists use the refugee program to get here. Then some of them wind up in Congress when they become citizens. D.L. Frater, good to see you again. And you applaud my patience repeatedly answering the refugee process and immigration process. No one else is doing this to my knowledge. And don't tell me, yes, other people are answering questions, but nobody sits around for 3 hours every night getting no sleep to try to answer people's questions as best they can. I'm not asking for any sympathy or empathy. I do this because I enjoy the conversation. It's nice to meet people. So can't listen to this guy going off for a simple question. What? Oh my God, what are you talking about, Bill Tong? Who's going off? John James, no reason to apologize. Why? People are so sensitive. God, grow a backbone. This is Bill Tong here. Can't listen to this guy going off for a simple question. Then leave, Bill Tong. Cancel your membership. Hit the road. Your feelings hurt? Bye. I'm the one giving my moments of life away to share my time with you, and you're upset by that? Good God. Man, boy, your parents must have spared the rod. They had to start pointing. No, there's no missiles in Ukraine. What? There's no missiles in Ukraine. What are you talking about? Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. There's no NATO. NATO doesn't have missiles. There are no NATO missiles, Luke. This, good Lord. Oh, I'm starting to think you're a troll. I take no sides. I never said Ukraine was in NATO. You did? You said NATO broke the agreement by bringing Ukraine in. That's what you said. Go back and read the receipts. That's what you said. There's no missiles there. Where are the missiles? Show me the proof. NATO has no missiles. It's like the African Union has no budget. Well, they have a budget, but 85% of them is provided by the European Union and the United States. They have no money. Africans don't pay for the African Union. Barely any money from Africans actually pay for the African Union. It's a Western project because we're the ones that fund it. And Ukraine has no missiles from NATO. NATO owns no missiles. There's no such thing as a NATO missile. There's no such thing as a NATO soldier. NATO is comprised of its member countries who have their own militaries and who put missiles there. Poland? Germany? The United States? Come on, dude. Come on. All right. Well, I've had enough of the little shitballs tonight. People are just being asses, so it's time for punishment. I'm not going to sit here and argue with the little turd balls tonight. I've never put somebody with a membership in a timeout. But there's a first for everything. You want to sit here and insult me? Find somewhere else to be. I don't put up with your crap. I wouldn't take it from a soldier. I wouldn't take it from an employee. I'm not going to take it from people in chat. So goodbye, those of you who want to act like asses. I don't need you here, and the audience doesn't need you here. So your feelings are hurt. Oh, mommy, Chris yelled at me. It's terrible. He's so mean. Oh, good God. Good God. You know, I have to be up in 6 hours to prep to go work for something that matters, that I actually get paid for, and paid quite well. And here I am, being abused because somebody's feelings hurt because I raised my voice. I didn't even, oh my gosh. Okay, so let me answer everybody's questions, okay? Now, the following is not directed at any of the responses here, but apparently my voice is too harsh for some people. These are people that would never have survived on commando. They would have been little wusses that fell off the back of the horse. Okay. Yeah, I saw Hotful Biker said some of the comments, I see these guys are making the comments with blue or green hair. Septon rings, a bull ring in the nose. Freya Menzel. Na, guten Morgen, meine Dame. Gnädige Frau. Wie geht's es Ihnen? Enjoy the late streams you've been doing. Yeah, they're kind of cool. What's your attitude like American people towards refugees come from South? Well, John James, I can't answer the question. We don't have refugees from South Africa. If you're asking me the question, what's the attitude of Americans to South Africans? Like it is to anybody else. We're very friendly and engaging. People get along really well. There's a lot of South Africans live in America, but none of them are refugees. We've never taken refugees from South Africa. No asylum seekers, no refugees. South Africa is not qualified for those programs in the past. This is new, and it doesn't exist yet. As soon as the program's out, we'll know. But to answer your general question, John, Americans are very fond of South Africans. They've taken to biltong too. There's a number of South Africans live here that produce biltong and sell it, and it's quite popular. Regionally, you can't get it everywhere. It's quite popular. And when we had the Vegas Sevens, I went to the Vegas Sevens area, and lots of South Africans from all over the U.S. would come out there. Yeah, no, South Africans are viewed very well. Black, white, and brown. Yeah. No, you don't have to listen to the media that tells you America is xenophobic. We're not xenophobic like a lot of South Africans are as a country. No, not at all. Hey, Danica Fisher, how are you? It's not a member of NATO or the EU. Mickey Dangerous. Holden Caulfield, I'm sure the people of Ukraine would like to have an election as well. By the way, for the people who just got a timeout, if you leave because your feelings are hurt, you attacked me. You were rude to me and insulted me. I'm not leaving. I'm still here. So eat your time out, come back and be civil, and we'll have fun. Cracker Barrel, the rest of themselves kept changing the reason. Exactly. First it was NATO, then it was this, then it was that. It's all lies. Putin wants the eastern third of Ukraine. That's the bottom line. I called that strategically when the invasion happened. I explained to people that night on, what was it, 22nd of February or something like that, whenever it was, back in 2022. I can't remember exact night. But I just arrived in in Orlando for the CPAC convention. In fact, I got my press credentials right there. I just arrived. I got to my hotel room because I couldn't get in because the damn door wasn't working. Electronics, like being in South Africa, the electronic thing wasn't working. So I had to find the maintenance guy who had the master key, electronic key, the physical key to get in there. And they couldn't find him. He was sleeping somewhere. So I had to wait like an hour and a half just hanging out while they tracked this turd down. It was like being in South Africa. And then I got into my room, turned my laptop on, and turned the TV on, and boom, Russia had invaded. And I said, right then that night, I went live. Remember, I did it for like an hour and a half. I had to get some sleep, maybe 2 hours. And people said, why are they invading? I said, well, because they want the eastern third of Ukraine. They want the natural boundary, the geographic boundary to be the Dnieper River, which Ukraine will never go for. But that's what they want. Denazification, the Russian speakers, NATO, exactly. Yeah, people believe anything, Cracker Barrel Kid. 3,000 plus interest for inflation is nothing for my... Huh? What are you talking about, Mickey? $3,000 interest for inflation is nothing for my fur children. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thank you for the membership for your pets. Gotcha. I'm like, what the heck? I thought it was a typo. Jacqueline loves how I'm straightforward. Well, not everybody does. Why did the war between Ukraine and Russia start? There's so many stories. Because of Joe Biden. I've covered this. There's only one story here. Ever since Putin got in charge, ever since Russia's been bullying its neighbors, under Bush, under Obama, under Biden, they've invaded, they harassed, they attacked their neighbors. Georgia, Azerbaijan, Nagorno-Karabakh, all troublemakers in all these places, and all the crazy stands, which are basically client states. Belarus is a client state. They tried to destroy the banking system of Estonia with electronic attack in early cyber warfare. They threatened Ukraine. They've attacked Ukraine. They've annexed the Crimea under Obama. The list goes on and on. Not once did they attack any of their neighbors when Donald Trump was president. When Joe Biden became president through a miracle election, this is the most amazing, 81 million people. I'm still trying to find out where they're all at. When Joe Biden became president, Biden showed immediately how ineffectual and stupid he was. 9 days after he became president, the military in Myanmar overthrew a democratically elected but thoroughly corrupt government and replaced it in a military coup. Boom. Joe Biden said nothing. He did nothing. He brought no moral weight, no sanctions, no nothing to the table. It took a while before he even reacted. 9 days after he became president. Too busy overriding all the success that Trump had achieved and undermining America with his mental stupidity gymnastics and his mandatory jab, which now they're all admitting is killing people. Wow, imagine that. Boy, you got censored on YouTube if you said that a few years ago, but now they're admitting it. Even Harvard has a study out saying it happened. They're all freaking out. Well, yeah, some people weren't. It was a very, anyway, I mean, if you take it, you're not supposed to get sick. If you take the booster, you're not supposed to get sick. Well, really? You can't transmit it. You wear a mask. You want all lies. And some of us said at the time, spelled it out, and we were ostracized. Not because I'm anti-jab. I got freaking 1,000 jabs in me. I'm a soldier, man. I get jabbed for everything from anthrax to freaking, rabies to, MMR to hepatitis. Take your pick. Gave me globin shots. Man, jabbed so many times. I think I have metal needles stuck in my arms. Nothing against getting jabs, but also know the history of epidemiology. Anyway, so so Biden proved he was an idiot. So Putin said, let me see what happens. He moved 60,000, 70,000 troops to the border between Belarus and Ukraine and Russia and Ukraine. Moved the troops up the border, started doing exercises. Biden didn't say anything, just sat there as quiet. 6 weeks after he became president. So then Putin said, you know what? There'll never be another dumber SOB in the White House than this moron. And then the deal was sealed when the Afghanistan debacle happened. And the embarrassment, it was the worst thing since Saigon. It was so embarrassing, such a debacle, and unnecessary. We had won the war there in Afghanistan. The war had been over for 18 months, and we didn't have combat troops there except for a reaction force that was to protect American troops that were training Afghans. And the situation was stable. And he just let the whole thing collapse with we were withdrawing from Afghanistan, lying to the American people. When he did that, and we saw how inept it was, Putin said, it's now or never. So he got all his troops in place, waited till the ground was firm in the wintertime and hard so he could drive his tanks over it, and then foolishly attacked on 7 different axes simultaneously. That's why there's a war, because we had no leadership in Washington. That's why there's a war. He's always coveted Ukraine. That's never changed. But the circumstances changed, and that's why he attacked. But unfortunately, his generals are morons. God, the Son of Jesus, saves. Okay. With the amount of people that want to leave as refugee, it would take a long time if you're at the bottom of the list. Well, we don't know that, Louise. Maybe they prioritize the list in some fashion. We have no idea. Maybe geographically, maybe by age group, maybe by family. I don't know. We don't know. But it's a fair assumption, but we don't know. Robert Franklin Moore, welcome. Holden Caulfield, on the Ukraine side, the war started because Crimea, on the Russian side, the Azov Battalion was ethnically cleansing Russians. There was an insinuation by Jeffrey Sachs that Zelensky may have been hoarding the lost U.S. arms to bolster his own future political ambitions. What lost U.S. arms, Afrikaner? Jeffrey Sachs has no credibility whatsoever. Although I heard him speaking the other night, and he actually spoke some sense for the first time ever. Jeffrey Sachs is a pie-in-the-sky dreamer who thinks it's our responsibility to take care of the world. He's probably going through withdrawal symptoms now that U.S. aid is being cut. Jeffrey Sachs, as economist, said, "Ooh, if everybody just gave $2, there'd be no poverty." The man doesn't understand human nature. There will always be poverty. There will always be pedos. There will always be incestuous activity. There will always be thieves and rapists and murders. All you can do is minimize it and punish the transgressors severely and deal with it as soon as it crops up. There are evil people. There are psychopaths. There are people who are just weak-willed. There will always be people addicted to substances. There will always be people addicted to sex, people addicted to gambling. You can't stop that. You can't program that out of the human being. It can't happen. Not yet. Maybe when Skynet takes over. But yeah, Jeffrey Sachs is an idealist who doesn't understand the real world. That doesn't mean he's not a good economist. He's a smart guy. Dysentery in Portland. What are you talking about, Rivani? Welcome here, John James. Lots of new people coming in. Don't be ashamed. Yeah, John James. Again, don't apologize, dude. You have nothing to apologize for. You asked a question, and happy to answer it. Triggered Tomato. I hope our people conduct themselves in a manner worthy of the help receive and get stateside. Willem says, welcome. Okay. Mickey, if I was younger, I would have joined the U.S. military. Still consider civilian role. Thought, the Afrikaners always saying, thick skin, but we don't. Yeah, Abby, exactly. So a lot of comments on my video about Afrikaners' worst enemy being Afrikaners, and some people say, yeah, well, we're Afrikaners, we have thick skins. Apparently some don't. Marinda Schnorr, welcome to you. Utingo, the English-speaking people also be allowed to apply. Okay, well, that's okay. Utingo, thank you for asking. Those are good questions. Been asked many times, and I'll answer it again. And I'm going to answer it very calmly. I don't want to scare away the thin-skinned Afrikaners that are in the crowd. So Utingo, excuse me. First off, the refugee program is not for farmers. It's for Afrikaners who suffered unjust racial discrimination. The challenge here, of course, Utingo, and that's why you're asking the question, is that Afrikaner is not defined by the president. So it will be up to the State Department to define who the Afrikaners are. The media assumes it's white people, with no basis for making that assumption. A lot of South Africans falsely believe the media that it's only for farmers. There's no farmers mentioned in it, not once. I have the order right here. I've read it hundreds of times. There's no mention of white people. There's no mention of farmers. There's people inferring things that may very well be incorrect. So we don't know. We do know that the State Department's website for the embassy in Pretoria, on the Monday following executive order, because he gave it out on a Friday night, on the Monday they issued a statement basically copying all the text of the president except for one thing. They changed Afrikaner to ethnic minorities. So there's 2.8 million white Afrikaners, probably a few 100,000 black Afrikaners, and maybe millions of colored Afrikaners that call themselves Afrikaners culturally. And we're going to get into an argument here from the Afrikaners. Well, that's not an Afrikaner. Whatever. I don't care what you think. They don't care what I think. It's what the State Department decides. Okay? So when they changed it to ethnic minorities, that made a lot more sense, which, by the way, I predicted in my first video. I said it's likely to change to include ethnic minorities. It's almost like the State Department was watching my broadcast, almost like they were. So they changed it, but there's been no update to that. So if it's ethnic minorities, well, we're talking 4.8 million white South Africans eligible. We're talking 1.3 million Indian South Africans. We're talking 6 to 8 million colored South Africans. And suddenly we're talking 13 million people that could get out of the country, potentially. And somebody go, well, America can never take 13 million people. We got 30 million illegal aliens here right now. 660,000 of whom are convicted murderers, rapists, pedophiles, armed robbers, carjackers, and home invaders. 660,000 convicted criminals. These are people convicted in their home countries that we know about or have been convicted of crimes here. 660,000. Among 16,500 convicted murderers. Now, how many murderers in the crowd that we never convicted, here or abroad? 16,500 murderers. They say it's 10 million people. Really? Anyway, so yeah. Tingo, I hope I answered your question. Okay. Esme Boynton Dog says, God is our only savior. Okay, all right. Mild riots start in Boteville. 21, now I'm confused. That's why I asked. Suzette, I have no idea what you're saying. Who are you talking to? 21? You're answering Loretta. Hey, K97, how you doing there? They're hiding in D.C. having a braai. Most Afro boys are all trained up for policing. They can bring a very unique set of skills, U.S. Okay. Oh, there. Suzette said, Crimea River, at what age can kids apply for themselves? Normally it's 18. People are claiming 21, but that's 21. If they're in school, you can usually claim them as a dependent. But 18 is the age of majority, and that applies. So an 18-year-old should be able to apply for themselves. But you've got kids who don't have families. Now, it shouldn't apply in South Africa, but if you were in Chad and you came from Darfur, your parents might have been murdered, and so you have only yourself, so you could apply as an unaccompanied minor. Alma off. Have a good day. Cool beans. Zelensky's Oval Office performance being scripted to give the media a weekend. Well, it was scripted, and he walked into a buzzsaw. So the whole thing is the whole response is Greenspan. Yeah, the whole thing was just all he tried to play the same game he's played for 3 years. He gets with leaders of countries. They're not real men or real women. They're weak in their socks and they act like fools. So Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer. All these people are fools. They get up there and they let him sit there pretending to be a warrior. He's too disrespectful to even bother wearing a business suit like anyone else. I mean, if he was an African leader who could wear traditional dress, that would be fine. But sitting there pretending to be a soldier when he's just a comedian who uses his penis to play piano, it's insulting to say the least. But that's neither here nor there. But the point is that he's trying to project an image. So he gets up there and he starts on a soapbox. They did this. They're wrong. Yeah, we don't care about that. That's not what this is about. You came here. This guy agreed to sign this in Kiev when our Secretary of Treasury was there. Scott Bessent was there. He agreed to sign it. They walked out of the meeting. They were supposed to sign it. And he goes, I'm not going to sign it. I'm going to Munich, and I'll sign it there with Vice President Vance. So he goes to Munich, and he's supposed to sign it. Vance embarrasses the Europeans. The one guy wept on the stage after he's like, the German, we want to welcome the Vice President of the United States, who was here last year as a senator. We're very happy to see Vice President J.D. Vance. Please, can we welcome him very warmly, Vice President J.D. Vance. Vance gets up and says, well, frankly, I'm not concerned about the threat from Russia or China. It's not the external threat with Europe. It's the internal threat and the oppression of free speech and civil liberties. You could have heard a pin drop in the room. So then when he gets done, the little wuss boy, the beta boy gets up there from the German guy. The Vice President, he said bad things about Europe. No, it's not true. We're such a lovely continent. No. He's wrong. He's very wrong. No, I know nothing. I see nothing. Did you see him whine? Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah, so it was all staged. So he's gotten away with this all the time. So then he refused to sign it in Munich. So he said, I'll sign it when I go see the president. So he came to the States. He and Trump sat behind closed doors with Vance and the Secretary of State for an hour and a half. They worked out the details. The agreement's printing it up. They're ready to sign it. And by the way, this is not some deal where, I didn't know the details. That's why I thought it was kind of gauche. But then I found out the details of what the deal was actually about. This was the deal. The U.S. would sign an economic agreement, not a deal for we're giving us the minerals. That's the media reporting. Oh, they have to give us the minerals. No. The minerals would be mined in Ukraine. Ukraine owes us $280 billion in loans, by the way. They're trying to pretend it's grants now. That was my frustration when I reported. Most of it was loans, not grants. I wanted to complain about grants giving money away, but most of it was loans, so I couldn't always complain. I could just say, well, look, they get more money. So they owe us a lot of money. And so Trump is saying, okay, look, in order to get the U.S. involved in your economy, because we're not really involved, and that would give us skin in the game, we'd have a dog in the fight, we would be involved in Ukraine. Here's a minerals deal. You've got rare earth elements and other things in Ukraine that are valuable for the world marketplace, and there's money to be made from that. So we'll get involved, and then the profits that come off of it, Ukraine gets 50%, the U.S. government gets 50%, and that'll pay back your loan. And we will give you military arms. So Ukraine walked out of the meeting with an agreement. They were supposed to declare a ceasefire. They were going to sign this agreement for that economic pact, which would get the U.S. involved. And that was an argument that Russia won't attack if U.S. personnel on the ground in Ukraine. And then they were also going to get more arms. And he comes out and he does the Alfredo, what he always tries to do. Well, we've been attacked. You just don't understand. And he's all just snotty and rude. No, the whole thing was Zelensky screwed the pooch. And Trump sat there patiently and quietly. For 39 minutes, he put up with the crap. He tried to disarm the conversation, calm him down, tell a few lighthearted jokes and praise him. Your people are brave. Your people are brave, over and over again. And this guy just didn't get it. And he's like, okay, now's my chance. I'm going to tell them how evil Russia is. And you saw Trump. He's like, look, I mean, a deal is not going to be easy to do. Look how much this guy hates Putin. It's kind of hard to work a deal with someone with that attitude. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, so the left just loved it, but they're idiots. Hey, voice it. No one said I was the Oracle. Twat face. I've told you, go check for yourself. So, fuck off, piss off, be gone. The U.S. is isolated. U.S. can't survive without Europe. Germany's economy is 65% from trade. U.S. economy is only 28% for trade. I think we'll survive. Boy, the trolls are coming in strong tonight. Coming in strong tonight. We're asked about how people who can't afford passports will be declined. Zolmerans, I don't know the answer. I've answered that one at least 1,000 times. Again, this is an in-country situation. It's unusual. It's not unprecedented, but it's unusual. And you'll probably be expected to have a passport. But if you don't have a passport, I don't know that would be a stumbling block. Okay? Especially given the glacial pace of home affairs. People who are in Chad don't have any identity documents. They're often issued their only identity document by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. They don't have a passport. And so they get travel documents. The U.S. government can issue travel documents for entry into America. How do you think the 160,000 Afghans came here? You think all those people flooding into the back of C-17s running from the Taliban as bombs explode at the airport in Baghdad and Kabul actually had passports? Some of them did. They just got in the back of the plane. John Lennon, Keith. I saw Andili from BLM ranted one Sutler went bull again. I didn't see that. See, that guy should be in prison. That's inciting violence. Carlene Vala says Afrikaans exclusively South Africa. No, it's not. No, it's not. Namibia is full of Afrikaners and Afrikaans, coloreds and whites. Botswana has Afrikaners, coloreds and whites. Even Zimbabwe has a few left, not many. There are some in Malawi as well. So no, it's not. Franco Dutoy. You're welcome. Good day, Fred. Eli West, hello to you. Ranger Jakes. I haven't got to the mail because the chat just keeps coming in. All right. I'm going to jump ahead here. Helman Volko, welcome. JP Ferreira. Chris Stanley, the convoy. Dirk Vu to deploy. I think to get a passport, we need a passport. Kind of a final. Well, Arc Precision, you make a good point. But again, this is an unusual situation. So you're welcome, Erica. Marissa, I don't think we're going to tell people if we knew they're back. Why would anybody do that? So, yes, I did. In game, I did see the World Bank telling them, and they're not listening. They're just going to be stubborn. So they won't get the World Bank loan. I already said they won't get the World Bank loan because they're pissing off the United States. Good evening, Timmy. Carl. Can Zimbabweans as ex-farmers apply? Not unless you qualify under the category whatever an Afrikaner is. If you're a South African or I don't know. We don't know. There's no program, Carl. I mean, it sounds thin, but if you're now living in South Africa and you're an Afrikaner, I don't know, maybe, but we don't know. No one can say. So, So I've actually given a ban for someone that had membership on the channel for spewing racial hatred on the channel. So they're gone. Yep. Yep. All right, the news I want to get to before we got through an hour of this just answering questions. So, all right, so the Coburg nuclear power plant was shut down today. Did you know that? Whew. Talking about passports. You have no electricity. ESCOM said on Sunday the unit of its Coburg nuclear power plant was shut down after experiencing unplanned, non-technical trip while operating at full capacity. Well, that's not very encouraging. ESCOM said that the Coburg Unit 2 inadvertently tripped during work on Unit 1, which is currently offline. So the entire Coburg plant is shut down. It's the only commercial nuclear power plant in all of Africa, and its 2 units contribute 1,860 megawatts, or 5% of the national supply. So currently 5% of the national supply is offline just from Coburg alone. There you go. There you go. Wow. So, yep, there you go. All right, so this is the story of News 24. Okay, this is fake news. Let me explain to you why it's fake news by Alex Mitchley. It's factually correct, but it's intentionally misleading. Okay, it's meant to alarm people. So let me put this very clear terms. Please listen here. Okay, for the hate wankers, can you just chill for a second? And put your racial hatred and your whining in the chat after I finish with this story, so that then I can give you punishment. All right, for those who care to hear this, here we go. So News 24 runs a story by Alex Mitchley, which says U.S. cuts funding civil society organizations assisting refugees in South Africa. Okay, first off, civil society organizations in South Africa that are assisting refugees aren't helping South Africans. So that's number one, okay? Because there's no refugees from South Africa. We don't take refugees from South Africa. We don't. So any civil society organizations there is helping someone that's become a refugee from somewhere else to get to America. So, all right? So not South Africans. So that's the first thing. So they're freaking out. But this is meant to scare you. It has nothing to do with the refugee program offer that was made on February 7th by Trump in his executive order. Remember, on January 20th, when he became president, and this is in my previous videos, many times mentioned, Trump suspended the entire refugee program worldwide. Now, they've tried to take it to court and say that he can't do that, but he does have the authority as the chief executive of the branch, executive branch, as the president. So he suspended because of widespread fraud under the Biden regime. They're trying to sue him and say that he can't do that. He does have the authority. But in the meantime, 26,368 or something like that, people who are already approved to come to America this fiscal year under the refugee program were delayed and stopped, including one guy from the Congo who apparently was flown to Nairobi, and from that, because there's no flights from the Congo to here, and from Nairobi he was coming over. Well, he's not coming now. Sold all his stuff, he's coming over. Well, my argument is if you have stuff, then what kind of refugee are you? But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, so that's what happened. On the 7th of February, because of the behavior of the South African government towards our foreign policy, and its re-engagement with Iran, and also the arguments about how Afrikaners are being oppressed, Trump issued an executive order in which he directed the Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security to develop a prioritized program for Afrikaners who are victims of unjust racial oppression or discrimination. So that is unrelated to the 20 January order. So in theory, as soon as the State Department and Department of Homeland Security come up with a program and present it to the president, he has to review it and approve it, then that could start immediately. Because the only reason the money was stopped is because Trump stopped it. It was his prerogative as president. So if the program restarts, or that program starts, then you'd be at the front of the queue, ahead of the 7.6 million Africans currently waiting to go somewhere as a refugee. So this is correct information, but it's a fake news story, okay? So here we go. U.S. cuts funding for civil organizations. This happened in January. Didn't happen now. Civil society organizations are helping refugees and asylum seekers in South Africa have received notices from the United States terminating their funding. First off, that is a dishonest statement. It's factually correct. Civil society organizations helping refugees and asylum seekers in South Africa have received notice from the United States they're terminating funding. Number one, we're not offering asylum to any South Africans, and no one is getting asylum there. You don't get asylum to the United States from South Africa, so that's a lie, number one. And unless they're here, or unless they're in South Africa and they're getting paid to help someone long distance who's in America applying for asylum, that could be an unusual case. But helping refugees, no South Africans are refugees before February 7th when the money was cut. So this isn't for South Africans. So that's a very dishonest statement. It comes after President Trump initially ordered a 90-day pause. Well, we're into March. Why are you reporting on this now 7 weeks later? Human rights lawyer said the cessation of this sort of funding will have a devastating impact, not for South Africans, because it wasn't for South Africans. Just weeks after the United States invited Afrikaners to become refugees, U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration has cut off funding to civil society organizations providing services to refugees and asylum seekers in South Africa. Once again, this is meant to mislead you and frighten people who are interested in this program. It has nothing to do with South Africans. This is for people who aren't South Africans. So that's dishonest. Then they give you facts. Shortly after he took office in January, he ordered a 90-day pause on foreign aid. Well, foreign aid is where this money came from. So that was suspended in January. A month later, despite pending litigation, the Trump administration has started terminating most foreign aid contracts and grants. Organizations in South Africa provide services to assist refugees and asylum seekers who migrated to the southern tip of Africa have not been spared. See, we get to the fourth paragraph before they tell you people who've migrated to southern Africa that want to come to America. First off, they have no business coming here. South Africa is a safe place to be, unless you're an Afrikaner. Refugee Social Services and Scalabrini Center in Cape Town confirmed that they received letters on Wednesday notifying that funding from the Department of Bureau had been terminated. Well, yes, it was suspended. Now it's been terminated. So the only difference here is that you might have gotten it back after 9 days, but they haven't been getting any money. So there's no real change in here other than the future is bleak for them. United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees told News 24 it was aware of reports that some organizations in South Africa received notification. They said they've also been impacted by the 90-day pause, and its biggest concern was the well-being and safety of millions of refugees, forcibly displaced people worldwide. Every day that this financial uncertainty continues will increase the impact of the lives of millions of people that have fled their homes to find security. That's actually bullshit, too. We don't take millions of people in every year. So the UN is just lying to you. We take in no more than 150, 160,000, usually 150,000 max per year, oftentimes less than that as refugees. So the 7.6 million people that are currently registered refugees across Africa with the United Nations High Commissioner for Relief, and there's other refugees, that's just with the UNHCR, it only affects 26,000 people. You see how they mislead people here? Yasmin Raja, director of the KZN-based RSS, said the organization had relied on the U.S. for a grant to provide services for vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers. She said these particularly vulnerable migrants include the elderly, people with disabilities, and those suffering from terminal diseases. So Africans who fled from other places in Africa and sought asylum or refugee status in South Africa, we're paying for them. Why is America paying for refugees living in South Africa? Why isn't the South African government paying for that? Why aren't South African taxpayers on the hook for that? That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Devastating. Jacob van Garderen, human rights lawyer and director at public interest practice, told News 24 the impact of the funding cuts would be devastating. However, he said perhaps less so in South Africa, where refugees and asylum seekers are not entirely dependent on humanitarian assistance for their survival, as the government allows integration so that migrants can work to get and don't have to live in camps. Okay, first off, there's all kinds of terms thrown in there, none of which apply. So he's talking about asylum seekers, refugees, migrants. That's three different categories of people. And he just mixed it all up in there. And you're a lawyer? Jacob van Garderen, you're a lawyer? And you can't even distinguish between a refugee and asylum seeker and a migrant? He said, but still organizations like Scalabrini and RSS who deliver essential support to migrant communities, not migrants, refugees, will suffer a severe impact of the work and support services. He said very few of these organizations, if any, had the reserves to continue to work unabated. Internationally, the big concern is not just what that the U.S. government has done in cutting funding, but more the way in which it's done it without prior notice or transition. Okay, so the decision to cut aid to these organizations helping refugees and asylum seekers comes less than a month after the executive order by Trump potentially offering Afrikaners refugee resettlement. Yep. So you see how this is fake news? It's factually correct, most of it. But look what's going on here. People have fled from Somalia and sought refugee status in South Africa. They landed on a plane from Somalia and South Africa on Ethiopia and go, I want to be a refugee. South African government grants them refugee status to protect them and then expects me to pay for them. I didn't break Somalia. Why don't they fix their own country? And they're not even refugees here. We spend $2.7 billion here in America to help refugees resettle. And we're only talking tens of thousands of people. $3 billion. Divide it. Let's do the math. So if we spend $2.7 billion here in the U.S., let's do the math. And let's say we take in 100,000. Let's go with that figure. That's more than we've taken in many years. So 2 billion, 2.7 billion divided by 100,000. That's $27,000 per year per refugee we spend. on employment, counseling, medical, money in your pocket, resettlement, flights. We spend $27,000 per person. Do you know what a burden that is on the American taxpayer? And then on top of that, we're paying for refugees living in South Africa? Annabelle says, South Africa suffering severe USAID withdrawal symptoms. I can understand. Your own people suffer difficulties, but billions of dollars are spilled in the bottomless pit. AIDS keeps rising. Yeah, no, Annabelle, and now we're the bad guy. It was an emergency program. But see, I'm the only person saying this. This was an emergency program. The President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR. I was there at the outset in Washington, D.C. when the Bush administration came up with this. I remember going to a Kaiser Foundation by Kaiser Aluminum. They felt guilty, so these rich white liberals, billionaires, put money into a medical foundation. Now Kaiser is one of the big medical, and then they use it to build hospitals, and they make much money off of it. So it wasn't quite as philanthropic as it may not be. But the Kaiser Foundation does a lot of stuff for the medical field. And they held this meeting, and I went there, and a lot of gay people were there because HIV, and they had to stick their nose in it. PEPFAR was designed to help people around the world. So I went to it, and this was some months after it had been enacted. It must have been in 2000. When did we do this? 2003 is when it started. It must have been 2004, 2005. Maybe it was 2005 I went to this meeting in D.C. and in downtown D.C. And there was hundreds of people in the room. And I got up and asked a question. But anyway, so before I ask my question, these guys get up. Well, this is just wrong. This is wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, this is stupid. The government forces 1/3 of the money to be spent on prevention, 1% on care, 1% on abstinence. Who are they to tell us not to have sex? Basically, that's what the guy said. I'm embellishing, but slightly like that. I'm like, seriously? So I got up and I said, I have a statement and a question. I said, and what's his name? Who's the gay judge from the Constitutional Court? Cameron. What was the South African? He's HIV positive. Hang on. HIV positive South African. Edwin Cameron. Yep, Edwin Cameron. Edwin Cameron was there, all right? And he spoke at that event in D.C., all right? And so I got up and asked the question. Yeah, the bald dude, that's the guy. I said, since the 1980s, when this virus first became something we're aware of over 2 decades ago, not a lot of money has been spent. The United States government has spent to date, at this point, $650 million fighting HIV/AIDS from 1983 until today, 20 years. So that's about $3 million a year. Is that right? Yeah. So about $3 million a year. We have a program now that is offering $3 billion a year. By the way, we spend a lot more than that. $3 billion a year. So in 1 year, you're going to get 5 times what has been spent in the past 2 decades. You're getting 5 times. And you're upset that 1/3 of that is dedicated to abstinence because you don't believe abstinence works. I said, I don't believe this. People are standing up here complaining about getting $3 billion because 1 billion has to be spent in abstinence. So what? Take the money and run. No one's ever made this commitment to fight HIV in the history of this disease. And here you are, and I'm going a little bit longer than I did. And I said, I don't understand. Why are you complaining about getting $1 billion for care and treatment? That's already almost double what's been spent in 2 decades. That's this year. Next year, you get another billion. And next year, you get another billion. So in those 5 years for this emergency plan, we spent $45 billion. Not $15 billion. It was $3 billion per year for 5 years. We spent $45 billion. 5 years, $45 billion. And people want to complain and whine about it. Anyway, yeah, Edwin Cameron, he was there. So yeah, I went to that event. Anyway, nobody wants to talk about the HIV thing, so. SCOM, yep, Erica. Wait until the suspension is lifted and the policy is developed. Nope, that's not what I said. Nope. See, where do you get this idea from, Stephen? Where are you drawing that from? That was not stated. I'm fascinated how people draw conclusions and never stated. I never said that. You're drawing that conclusion. You made that conclusion about 10 minutes ago. So that means wait till the suspension is lifted. No. Please listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Wait, I mean, the thin skin off our economy is going to run away now. Hang on. Sorry. Not you, Steve, but the ones who they can't handle the emotion. So let me do this emotionless. The 20 January order suspended the entire program. Done and dusted. People were suing over it. Whatever. It stopped. On the 7th of February, a short time after that, Trump said, make a program for South Africans. There's no timeline. There's no reference to the previous one. So all things being equal, what this means is the State Department should be writing a program right now and submitting to the president along with the Homeland Security so that it can be enacted immediately. And all Trump has to do is tell him to do it. And he told him to do it. So the 20 January, we don't know that affects it. It shouldn't affect this. The 90 days might very well end. The programs become active again, and you still don't have a South Africa program. That's a possibility too. They're not linked that we know of. To assume that they're linked is foolhardy. We don't know that. Only people inside the State Department know that, and the president. So, I mean, dude, ladies, chill, okay? Marissa's dad worked there, Kuberg. The whole of Kuberg is indeed shut down. The nation's grid is eventually going to crash. Yep. Takes a couple weeks. Hey, Matthew Dixon, how's it going? Hey, Vanessa. Good morning, Kathleen. If Macron can't keep France's interest in Africa, how can he keep Ukraine? Well, France isn't serious about its African interests. They backed out a long time ago. They reduced their presence. They had 6 infantry battalions located across Africa, and they're down to just less than 1 battalion now, if I'm not mistaken, left in Cote d'Ivoire. Their battalions in other places are all gone. Niger is long gone. All the other places they had them are gone. There are some French troops in Djibouti still. It's not a whole battalion, though. Yeah, UK can't defend London. Is a 90 pause mentioned correct? Terrence, I don't understand your question. Is a 90-day pause? Yes, but it has nothing to do with the South Africa program that we know of. Won't ever have peace in Ukraine without U.S. being involved. USA wants peace, EU wants war. Exactly, Eli. Listen, how can South Africa even pretend to be protecting anything? They put up white flags. Koba says consequences is a key word in South Africa. No consequence for actions. That's true. The truth is valuable. Chris, can you, in broad strokes, tell me a bit more about the landing in the U.S.? How does it work? Where? The truth is valuable. Thank you for coming here. Again, this is all mentioned in the videos I've done, but I'll entertain it now since you're probably new to the channel. I can just give you generalities because I don't know. I'm not a refugee. I just know how it happens from the other end. You'll be put on a plane most likely and flown to the United States and sent to a state where they can absorb you. I ran through the list of states with the largest number of arrivals in 2023. Every year, the president's required to submit a report to Congress regarding the refugee resettlement program and what's happened with it, and so on and so forth. So, hang on a second. Page 61, 62. Okay, I get the wrong page here. All right, so, yeah, there we go. Oh, hang on a second. There's still one more page mission here. Oh, well, this will do. It's fine. And so of the 50 states, it looks like about 49 have got refugees. And so these are the top ones. I'm not going to read them all to you, but you can imagine, obviously, the bigger states where we can absorb more people, like California, Texas, New York, Kentucky, Washington. Kentucky's not a big state. Washington, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. That's in Arizona. That's the top 10. All of them taking over 1,000 refugees, with California and Texas taking over 2,000 in fiscal year 2022, which is the most recent available from the 2024 report. That's what's available on that, or 2023 report. So, yeah, you'll land somewhere. You'll be greeted. You go through immigration. If you got pets, you pick them up, take them, if you manage to get them over. And then you will be transported to where you're going to stay. It might be a temporary, might be a hotel, might be a public housing or something like that, short term, or maybe there's a place for you already. And then you'll be here. You'll be processed. You'll be given your paperwork. You might even get that before you leave. And then within a year, you have to apply for a residency card, a green card. In the meantime, you get money, you get help, you get employment services, you get all kinds of stuff. All that's in the videos. Go look at the list, watch the videos. we don't know where, truth, because you go all over the place. And your next question is probably, well, will we be separated? No, they're not going to separate nuclear families. Can I go where I want to go? No. You can ask, and they might accommodate you if it's possible, and you should ask. You know, if you've got family in Tennessee, you said, I'd like to go to Tennessee. I got family there. That's a support structure. Or if you work for an American company in South Africa and they say that if you come to the States, we'll have a job for you. You can give them the offer of employment and say, hey, look, I've got a company in West Virginia that I work for here from South Africa. They've offered me a job. Can I go to West Virginia? And they're probably like, yeah, as long as they got a sponsor there. We have over 300 NGOs and government organizations that do refugee resettlement around the country. You usually get a sponsor. It's all wired pretty well, man. Do you see any refugees in America whining about coming to America? Have you ever seen any video? Have you ever seen one video? I mean, there might be one. There's always somebody that's discontented. Well, I came to America and they promised me streets paved with gold, prostitutes, and patron. Nobody gave me my patron. The hose never showed up at my hotel room, and I'm angry. I've never heard of any refugee who's been unhappy coming here. Not one. And I've also, by the way, I've dealt with actual asylum seekers. I actually was involved in a legal case helping a Congolese woman become an asylum seeker in America because she was here and she applied for asylum because she was being abused by her spouse. And so we had to take on the financial responsibility for a wife beater. And she and her kids got to stay here. And we inherited 3 Congolese that we didn't ask for because our government's too generous. Because we're humanitarians. Vilma was one of the first nurses with HIV. Must have been scary back then. Truth is valuable, but some people don't like it. You see the whining about my comments here? This guy is not the oracle. Never claimed to be the oracle. Never said, trust me. Yeah, I love that. These people, oh, why are you listening to this guy? Don't listen to me. Go check it out. Facts. Immigration, where's it at? Well, that's wrong. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's this Immigration Nationality Act. It's there. I mean, this is a report from the President's report. This is all factual information. I give you analysis and the best potential, analysis of what's out there. People don't have to listen to me. Do what you want to do. I never told anyone just listen to me. I always say check the receipts, fact stuff. I mean, that's funny to see some jerk off come in here and tell me this guy isn't the oracle. Yeah, why do you listen to him? Well, maybe people enjoy listening to me. You don't, so foot sec. By the way, both the people acting up aren't here anymore. One was blocked. The other was two people were given timeouts, and they just haven't come back in the chat. Oh, we're over 300 likes. It's 319 right now. Your thoughts on DSC offering U.S. access to the minerals? I didn't see that, Tian. We don't want access to minerals. I don't want anything to do with the DRC. I want to quit pouring money into that broken place. Let the Congolese sort it out. I don't have empathy anymore. After 30 years of conflict, these people can't live together. John Dreyer says, just to remind everyone that your equipment works on 220, 240. Yeah, it is 110, and we're 60 cycles instead of 50 hertz. Yours is 220, 240 with 50 hertz, and ours is 110, 60 hertz. But most modern appliances, even stuff I buy in Africa, has dual voltage, either automatic or you can switch it physically. It's usually automatic these days. But also, you have outrageously ridiculous plugs that won't fit in our outlets. Your plugs are ridiculously large. I had one of them here the other day. It's not here. I moved it. But but you're probably not coming with all those things, so it really doesn't matter. All you're going to probably bring is, if you have a laptop, you're going to carry that. You're not going to be bringing your household goods here, most likely. So, I don't know, maybe they'll let you ship them out. I don't know, but I bet there'll be lots of looting at the port of Durban and PE in Cape Town for people who are leaving the country. All the thieves will go down there and break in all your containers and steal all your stuff if you're able to ship it out. Erica, I answered this earlier, twice already tonight. Don't know if you covered it already, but the land grab outside Polokwane is now being called Jujuville. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't see that, Hardest. Where do you get that information from? But thank you, John. That's a good point. I mean, life is different. We also drive on the correct side of the road, so you're going to have to adjust to that. You don't drive on the wrong side of the road. We drive on the right, which is the correct side, which is where 85% of the planet drives. Only those Anglophone colonies in Japan drive on the wrong side of the road. New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, UK, South Africa, Botswana, places like that. Former UK colonies, or pseudo-colonies. China doesn't drive on the wrong side. They drive on the correct side of the road. So you got to get used to that. Well, thank you, Vanessa. Never heard any unhappy refugee complain. They're always so thankful. Yep, that's what I've heard. But no, I don't know that. So thank you for sharing that, Hardest, excuse me. Pretty sure if you can find a job, unemployment is 4% or less in this country. That's full employment. There's always some people that have worked transition place to place or physically unable to go because they've got medical issues or just the disabled, the infirm. But people who are in the workforce, it's 96% employment or better. Some states, the unemployment rates are below 2%, like Iowa, somewhere like that. There is plenty of work. There are 13 million vacant jobs in America right now. So you don't have to worry about whether you find a job. Whether you find a job in your career field, of your chosen career field, is a whole other story. I mean, I keep turning down jobs so I can do this, so I can have people come in here and abuse me. You know, this guy's not the article. Who said I was? Where did you derive that from? Erica, back to your question. If you can't get passports, I don't know the answer. I can tell you the answer what happens in other places. The U.S. issues travel documents to come to America. But we're talking about an unusual situation of refugee status being granted to people who aren't refugees. Now, you all need to listen to what I just said. Refugee status being granted to people who are not refugees. A refugee is someone who flees their country for a safe haven abroad. If you're in Darfur, you flee to Chad. If you're in South Sudan, you flee to Uganda. If you're in Somalia, you flee to Kenya. Thank you, Hein Reinicke, for subscribing. That's a refugee. An internally displaced person is someone that is forced to leave their home because of conflict and flee to somewhere else in the country, like in South Sudan. We got lots of IDPs. Those are legal terms and legal status. We are granting refugee status to people who are not refugees. Okay, you need to get that right. So you're not really a refugee. You're just being granted it because you're in peril. Your life's in jeopardy. Your liberty's in jeopardy. So that's why we're doing it. So there you go. Did I answer your question, Erica? So in those cases, a lot of those people don't have documents. There's a war. Something's happening. So all they have is a clothes on their back, and barely that. And they get out. Oftentimes families are separated. People are murdered, raped, killed. They escape from Darfur. They wind up in Chad, living in a camp for years on end. They're issued identity documents by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or sometimes host country, but not in Chad, not to my knowledge. So they probably don't have a passport, and they don't work for the UN, so they're not going to get a UN passport. So back in the day after the Second World War, the Red Cross used to issue identity documents to people so they could travel who didn't have passports because of the Second World War. And guess who got Red Cross documents? Through the Odessa network, the Nazis. Josef Mengele got Red Cross identity documents and got out of Europe on a ship and went to Latin America, Josef Mengele. So, it's the United States government can issue travel documents to get people in the country. The question is, can you get out of your country? And this is an unusual circumstance, so I don't know. I mean, Erica could be very well, you don't have a passport, you go to OR Tambo to get on a plane, and you can't leave, you don't have a passport. Or we give you travel documents issued by the Americans who are processing refugee applications in South Africa, and then, Home Office refuses to recognize it and won't let you leave the country. That's a very real possibility. We don't know that. It depends what South Africa's going to do. I don't know about the second one in Polokwane Hardest. Jumbo says you need to prepare for work. Who, me? No, I'm good. Okay. No, Bernard, see, you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. You're getting bad information for somewhere else. Let me get back to that. And people are also giving you bad information in the chat. Okay, so let me... Stefan Free says, gotcha, Chris. Okay, that was earlier. Okay. If I can get passports time because it's a lot for a household of four. It's not a lot. It's no different. They process 4 at a time. But I've just answered that question. The Truth is Valuable says, thanks, Chris. Watch many of your videos. Some from others also. Just some odd questions left. No, it's fine. Truth is, I'm trying to answer them. Okay. Barbie says, family meaning nucleus family. You mean nuclear family? Can we request parents answer? Boy, gosh. I mean, I see names for people here in the previous broadcast, and I've answered the same question over and again for the same people. No, you can't request for your parents. You can't. They have to request. Nuclear family. Minor children, spouse. Mariska Visser. Oh, Bernard says, did I hear correctly apply for a green card after 1 year? I thought it was 5 years. See, Bernard, I don't know where you're getting your information from. I get it from the U.S. government, okay? And it clearly states that you must apply for a permanent residency card within 1 year of arrival. You're not expected to arrive and go, well, run out and get a green card. It's not like we have offices all over the place. The federal government doesn't have offices there where you can go just get a green card. So you have people sponsor you. They'll help you in the process. But within a year, you have to apply for permanent residency. Otherwise, you could lose your refugee status, apparently. 5 years is if you want citizenship. A green card is not citizenship. Americans don't need green cards. Americans don't have to have identification. There is no requirement in this country to have identification. None. We're not a fascist police state. We don't have passbooks. We don't have ID cards. There's no government ID card. Now, I have government issued identification because that's my status. So, for instance, if you want to drive in this country, you have to have an operator's permit. Well, that states require you to have it. So there's my driver's license from the state of Pennsylvania. But that's not a national ID. And if I don't want to drive, I don't have to have that. This is national ID, but this is because I'm in the military. Well, I'm retired now, so this is my military ID card. That's issued by the federal government. You can see the watermarks in there. So people who aren't in the military don't have one of those. So there's one more form of identity that the U.S. government provides to people, which is not what most citizens have. And that, of course, is a passport. So there's a U.S. passport right there. But you're not required to have a passport. You're not required to carry this. You're not required to carry identification when you walk around America. We're not a police state. It's not required. So, yeah. So anyway, the point back to the story here is that you can apply for citizenship after 5 years, provided you follow the rules. And I talked about this earlier. So I guess people are coming in at odd hours and missing the things I'm saying. So Bernard, does that help? And Barbie, did that help you as well? Yeah, green card is not citizenship. So you guys got all kinds of bad information from somewhere. A green card is not citizenship. A passport's only issued to a citizen. A driver's license is not a national ID. Refugee is not migrant. It's not immigrant. It's not asylum seeker. It's a completely different category. Kobe says, most of us like listening to you straight and to the point. Thank you. Truth says, Oracle, no, but at least it's a source of valuable and factual information. Plays telling Erica, don't wait to get your documents. Yeah, why would you? Okay, I don't know what Erica's doing. I don't know if she's saying, should I go get them? Okay, first off, and I had this conversation, 2 or 3 nights ago, I don't understand how people live in the 21st century and not have documents, okay? You should always have a passport. Always. You never know when things are going to blow up, okay? It's the 21st century. Even Americans who've traditionally never had passports, except for a small number of people who travel, we have millions of passports issued in this country every year because people all want a passport now. So, yeah, you need to have a passport. You just need to have a passport. And I know Home Affairs is broken, but that's not an excuse not to apply for one. It's a lot of money. No, it's not. It's 600 Rand. It's 600 Rand. So you get one now, then you wait a few months, you save another 600 Rand, you get another one, then you wait a few months, you apply for another one. Or you just don't apply and you roll the dice and wait and find out. I'm not telling you to go get a passport, Erica. If you don't have the money for a passport, then don't get one. And then when the program's announced, and if they say they'll issue travel documents, then it won't be an issue for you. You'll never have to worry about it. You'll move, you'll go, you'll be without a passport. So I understand where you're coming from now, Erica. I got it. All right. You have to understand 600 Rand is nothing to me. I'm not rich, but 600 Rand is nothing. I mean, it's not even a tank of gasoline. And I realize a lot of people are desperately poor. 600 Rand divided by 19, what is that? $25? $31, $32. Do you know what I pay for my passport? You think yours is expensive? I have to pay $180 for a passport, $195, $180. Something like that. Then I had to pay for expedited service because they screwed it up and it was supposed to be here within 4 to 6 weeks. And 8 weeks later, I still didn't have it. And I had to spend a lot of money on my flight last minute. So my passport cost me over $200. So that's expensive. Abby, you got it correct. You apply for a green card within 1 year, and after 5 years of being a green card holder, you can apply for citizenship if you qualify. Exactly right, Abby. You hit it spot on. We dressed up, everything covered. The gay patients was very thoughtful and appropriate. Everything you did for them. Yeah, no, and it's horrible, Vilma. That was. I mean, those early days. I mean, of HIV, so sad, and the whole thing got distorted because people looked at it as the gay disease. That's why it was called GRID originally, because they didn't know what it was. Gay-related infectious disease. So sad to see that. It's horrible. And because of the ignorance and the lack of knowledge, we had infected blood supplies. A lot of gay men tend to give blood. It's kind of a community sort of thing. and they passed around, unintentionally infected blood. That's how it got into the system. And Ryan, what's his name? That kid Ryan died. He became the face of it. Before he became the face of it, it was considered a gay disease, and people who hated homosexuals just didn't care. And so it was neglected in many respects. It's a shame. It's a shame. And then listening to Dion George out there whining about PEPFAR being canceled today, that was just disgusting. The DA member who's the minister, they're whining about it. You know what? You're the government of South Africa. You're a minister. You fix the problem. Come up with the $440 million. We gave you $365 million last year for HIV. That's your problem. Don't blame it on us that you spent 22 years suckling off the teat doing nothing. And I don't want to hear from Dion George that, well, we weren't in the government for 22 years. Well, you've been in the government for a year. The handwriting was on the wall on February 6th last year. If South African politicians paid attention, this was in the news. I talked about it last year multiple times, that the government is looking at reassessing the relationship. And I've said that South Africa is not eligible for AGOA. Didn't know they were going to cut foreign aid, but that's a whole other story. But this is what you get for burying your head in the sand, Dion George and the government of South Africa. It says, I will be able to get the rest. Okay, Eric, look, I'm not telling you, Erica Strauss, to go out and get passports. That's not my advice. I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying I don't understand how people in the modern day don't have one. So, and I'm also not castigating you. So you sound like a person that's got some fortitude. You're not going to run off and hide because you think I'm attacking you like a couple people did. But yeah. Good morning, Francois van Heerden. Huge thank you. Enjoyed listening to you for Connor. Hey, Felicity. How you doing? Felicity Monroe. Hey, thanks. Whereabouts in South Africa you from? Gauteng, Western Cape, Eastern Cape. Metric to imperial adjustments. No, it's not. Everything here is in metrics. Why do you think that? See, that's an assumption on your part. That's an assumption on your part. Again, this is one where I couldn't find the label. So right here it says 281 milliliters. So what are you worried about? There's no adjustment. 281 millimeters. Everything is in both measurements. See, you're believing propaganda that someone's told you that knows nothing about America. You don't have to worry about imperial. The only place you're going to have to worry about that is at the pump, because we don't put liters. Although sometimes some of the pumps do have liters. It says on the car, every car has a speedometer that comes in miles and kilometers per hour. I don't know where people get this fantasy that we don't have metrics in America. That's just another lie about America. Another lie about America. Everything's in metric here. Just Americans don't think and learn in metrics, but it's there. It's available because the Canadians were dumb enough to adopt it, so we use it. Yep. But at least you're correct. You called it an imperial system. It's right. It's not ours. We have the standard American equivalent, but it's not our system. It's the imperial system. But yeah, you don't have to worry about that, man. You don't have to worry about that. That's not an adjustment. If you want the left to like you, Chris, talk like a kindergarten teacher. There you go, Cobus. Vanessa, welcome to you for your membership. Oh, that was Christian Rutz is the one that said that. You don't have to worry about that, man. Yeah, it's right there. See, I prove it. I mean, I don't have to. I don't know if you can see that. Right down there. See? 9.5 fluid ounces, 281 milliliters. Everything is in metric. Gandalf the Grey, not the Oracle. 4% in the country, 340 million is insanely good. Yeah, it is. Even though the economy is struggling. Inflation is still high. We're trying to bring it down, but the tariffs, if they get applied, aren't going to help. Already found like 60 jobs. Yeah, exactly. It's insane how many jobs there are, Roxy. Any type of work would be better than none. Yep. Wi-Fi logged me out, but I did not hear that part. Oh, sorry, Erica. Yeah, no, then I hope you heard the part. Let me say it again. I'm not telling you to run out and get your passport, okay? I'm just saying that I'm just shocked that people don't have passports. I mean, I know people in Liberia, they all have passports. Those who didn't have a Liberian passport because they couldn't get one got an ECOWAS passport from ECOWAS. I want to relocate to the United States and have 2 kids in foster care. My wife died in 24. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, M7. Sorry for your loss. How can I get more info? More info on what? What are you trying to find out, M7? Are you trying to find out how to come to America on the refugee program? Well, it doesn't exist yet. It's up to the State Department, Homeland Security to write the program. The president gave them direction on the 7th of February. They've already taken nearly a month, and we haven't got a program yet. I could have written this in a weekend and sent it to the president for approval and put it implemented within a week. So you have to wait until the U.S. government issues the guidelines for the program to see if you qualify. I suspect you probably will. The kids in foster care could be a problem. Could be a problem. I don't know your circumstances or whether the parents, the natural parents, are alive, or if they're your foster kids because they're orphans. I don't know that. That might be a tricky one, M7. I don't know. We'd have to see. That's a legal question there. All these crazy legal things come up. The State Department has had to deal with this. So they will have answers for you. So I apologize I can't give you more information, but if anyone else is telling you more information, they're lying to you. Because there's a law, it's the Immigration Nationality Act, and that governs this. It's from 1980, and we've taken 3.1 million refugees in since 1980. It actually goes back to 1950, but it was an amended and changed law, had a different name. So we've taken in 3.9 million refugees going back to 1950, but 3.1 million since 1980. And the law is a guideline that puts a basis of what can and cannot be done. However, they can put stipulations in the program. So until it's issued, M7, I don't know. And anyone who tells you do know is lying to you. They can give you supposition, and they can tell you past examples of what's happening. And that's what I spend my time doing here, very patiently. But apparently some people's feelings are hurt, so they left. And that's fine. That's on them. But M7, my apologies. I can't tell you more, and I empathize for you. And again, my condolences on the loss of your wife. I hope that it wasn't painful and that her passing was as comfortable as it could have been for her. Thank you for sharing. Stefan is calling me Senior Wyatt. Well, you got to call me Senior Fun Wyatt, not Senior Wyatt. Senior Fun Wyatt. Also, people never mention the work you do, helping veterans, very commendable. Oh, no, I don't. Thank you, Holden. That's very kind of you. Yeah. No, I do. In fact, I went this afternoon with veterans on a Sunday. I went over and worked again today. I was there on Friday. I was there again today. Yeah. And so, yeah, I do. Also, I'm an elected official. I'm a judge of elections, so that's a public service. I do that, running the elections to make sure that people get to vote. And, yeah. So that's another thing I do for the community. I'm not a great humanitarian, but these are just some things I do. I would do a lot more stuff, but frankly, it's you have to pick and choose where you're going to help. You can't do everything. We renewed our passports and new ID cards and went to Pretoria for the physical process a month ago. Got notified that it's there. We'll go fetch next week. Truth is valuable. Please confirm when you've got it, so I know that you've got it. Just so you let us know. Trump can serve fries, Titan. Yeah, exactly. You know what's going to be funny is watching most refugees having to put in their own fuel. Yeah, that will be funny. Yeah, unless you go to New Jersey, where by law they have to pump it, but we pump our own fuel. Yep. What about Social Security card? You have to apply for Social Security card when you get here, Renee Donhauser. You have to. You can't work without a Social Security number. It wasn't supposed to be that way, but that's how it's developed over the century since the damn thing was created in the 1930s. You have to have a Social Security number, so yeah, you'll get one. But that's a piece of cake, piece of piss. We have millions of people who aren't Americans who have Social Security numbers. But you can vote without ID. No, you can't. You can't vote without ID. Oh, okay. Oh, no, gotcha, Michael. Yeah, exactly. People do vote without ID. Yeah, well, here in Pennsylvania, it's illegal for us to ask, as a judge of elections, I can confirm, it's illegal for us to ask for identification unless the voter roll says we have to ask for identification. And the only time that the voter roll would say you have to ask for identification is if the person's never voted before, if they haven't voted like in 10 years, if they're first time voting in that precinct because they moved from somewhere else in the state. First time voter. So that's the only time. Anyone that comes up that's previously voted in that precinct within 10 years, last 10 years, we cannot ask them for ID. It's against the law. Can't do it. That's a Pennsylvania law. Every state's different. Some states require ID. So, yeah, you're right. You're right, Michael Holmes. Good point there. TJ's channel, did he play rugby? Yes, I did play rugby. Left wing. Rugby, not politically. Yes, even better if you have the opportunity to work. Lynette, not sure if you cover this. Parliament cleaners and sweaters get 100% raise more than... I didn't see that. Joe Emilio, he beat me to the punch on that one. I didn't see that. Did not see that. I'm really worried about home affairs. My kids are simply refused to help. It's horn, says Estelle. What's your opinion of Sulphur Springs, Texas? Never been. Bought property there, but not living in property, and said we can stay there if we qualify. It depends, but I mean, I prefer New Mexico to Texas. Yeah, I prefer New Mexico to Texas. That's just my personal opinion. I like Albuquerque's fine, and I like Taos. Taos is beautiful, but it's expensive. Some land claim protests, closure, N2 outside. Thank you for that. Living a nightmare here in Eastern Cape, 42% unemployment. Yep, David, that's sad. Honestly, I sponge up the info I get from Chris. It's fact-checked, and he knows how things work. Yep, yeah, thank you, Alma. I do. And TJ, I did play rugby, but not much. I only played in Africa. I never played rugby in the States. That's that ironic. Last time I played rugby was in Djibouti, and I injured my heel. God, that hurt. Concrete field, and I planted my heel, and it was so painful. Best way to ask a question is write it down. Yep. Age does not apply in the case of refugees. That's correct. Trump is almost 80 and a businessman knows exactly who Afrikaners are and how strong his country was before ANC took over. Will not be a burden to us. Yep. All states require proof of residence, driver's license, military ID, visa. Proof of residence for what? No, they don't. No, they don't. You're saying, what do you mean proof of residence? You don't have to have an ID card to live in America. I went to college. I didn't have a photo ID. Not a single one. All I had was a Social Security card. That's it. That's it. No photo ID. My first photo ID was my ID card for Ohio University in 1982. September 1982, the first time I ever got an ID card in my life. How do you identify illegal immigrants without identification? Fingerprints, biometrics, wanted notices, lots of other ways. Take care, Bram. If you do get citizenship 5 years, what are they? Yes, you would. Yeah, Sean. Yeah. You're now an American. Doesn't matter where you came from. You're an American. Being an American is an idea. It's not an ethnicity. We're black, white, brown, Christian, Muslim, Jew. Overwhelmingly Anglo-Saxon, European, white heritage, origin, but people from all over the world. We have Sikhs. We have hundreds of thousands of Sikhs here. We have millions of Indians from India. Not our Indians, not our casino Indians. Yeah. So, no, it's an idea. And as long as you accept the ideals, you can become an American. Felicity said, became a member today. Looking forward to it. Well, thanks, Felicity. You missed out on the members chat earlier, unless you were here for that. Many new Amerikaners will leave their own experience and close their backs. Ark says, I have patience galore. Well, thank you. That's my point, Chris. Most people don't have one. What, passports? Okay. We do work in an estate, and you cannot enter the state without them scanning your ID, and it's linked to the Southern Police. It's simple for passport, even with broken home affairs, or renewed just last year, just do a booking and collect 20 minutes in and out. Well, Patrick, that was your experience, but not everybody's having the same experience. Wayne Molstar says, my wife and I both have our passports and have our own airfare. Well, there you go, Wayne. There you go. 600 Rand is cheap, says the South African. Last 10 years, okay, 1,200 the one that's expired. Okay, the more I listen to you, the more I wish the program will be set to run so I can apply, says Alma. Passports out there, if you take your expired passport when applying for a new one, you get a discount. There you go. That's crazy, though. I received my passport within 6 days, not sure what the fuss is about. Irene, because home affairs is uneven, my friend. Young lady, it's uneven. One place it's great, one place is terrible. Quits, this not even covers biltong for the month. $185 for American visa to travel to the USA as a tourist. Yeah, that's expensive. Yeah, I think that's what it is, Philip. I think that's right. Yeah, that's expensive. But refugees don't pay for a visa. You don't need a visa. You're granted travel documents. Most passports are for 10 years, Roxy. The problem is that now that tens of thousands of people are applying. Exactly. That's going to be a backlog. Yep, exactly. Just received. Well, but no, Wayne. No. Nobody's interested in this. Nobody wants to go to the U.S. Come on, man. What are you talking about? Farmer shows many bags of corn. Thieves were gathered to steal. What's this? See the video this morning. Farmer where they caught. Okay. I'll have to check that out tomorrow morning. $32. Staffers are going to catch a good international wake-up call and earn good money. Okay. Ryan White. Thank you, DL Freighter. Ryan White, yeah, from a blood transfusion. Hemophiliac. That's correct. I couldn't think of Ryan's last name. Thank you. Just managed to secure a slot. Molesbury. Okay. After Cornelius Mulder coming in as leader, wait the Freedom Front Plus. I haven't heard back from him. I wrote to him. Although I think he sent me a link to a video, but he didn't answer my question. I asked him for an interview. When we arrive at the airport as refugees, will officials guide us to what to do? Yes. Permission for ranting granted. Thank you, Barbie. Yeah, of course. There's going to be someone there, whether it's probably immigration services. Let's just do a what if, okay? Let's just say this is in place. You qualify a plane, Delta at Cape Town or OR Tambo, and there's 40 people on the plane, families and others who are coming over in the first batch. 40 come over, you land in Atlanta, there'll be officials there from the government who will sequester you and take you off the private sign saying South Africa refugees this way, and they'll process you. I mean, look, if you come here and it's different, then don't be yelling at me, okay? I'm just telling you how it's likely to happen. Then they're going to be there. They're going to go through your paperwork, and they're going to get you through the immigration, go collect your bags off the belt, and then you're going to go through immigration and customs outside, most likely, and then someone will be out there waiting for you, so you don't just disappear. You got to get you to where you're supposed to go, to your accommodation for the evening, and if you've got pets, you got to get that too. So, yeah, visa's expensive. Getting married soon. Well, congratulations, Roxy. Okay. Booked a slot in the outside of Joburg for the next day. Went 6 days later. Received it. It was 12 days ago. There you go. So maybe Home Affairs got their act together in a lot of places. I don't know. Americans move towards a metric system inch by inch. Well said there, Arc Precision. Aubrey Olvaga. One thing that does confuse me is the advertisement gas price, $3.50. Oh, okay. What's the 9/10? I don't get that. It's usually $3.49. They rarely is gasoline even price. They always put it at 9.9 or 8.9 or 7.9 to trick people. That's for a gallon. That's a U.S. gallon, not an imperial gallon. So that's what, 3 or 4 liters, 3.5, 4 liters. So yeah, yep. You do have to pump your own gas. Yep. Should we start looking at conversion? Vanessa, that is all handled by your sponsor and by the U.S. government. They all take care of that when you come over. But if you want to do that on your own, that's your prerogative. I wouldn't waste money on it. It's the meme. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is a kilometer. What if you have family there? Andres Rizzo, if you have family here, when you apply for refugee status, you can say, I have family in Kentucky. I have family in New Mexico. Can I go there? And they're probably inclined to help you with that. Only daylight savings time will catch some of us. Well, daylight savings time isn't applicable in the entire United States. Indiana and Arizona do not use daylight savings time, so it won't affect you there. And Trump wants to get rid of it. I hope he doesn't. I want to keep it. You're welcome, Erica. Did our passports at the bank and had a much better experience. Well, the bank is because you don't have to deal with the surly Home Affairs turds who have jobs, but they're not qualified for them. The work will be done in the background by the people actually competent. So, yeah, the bank doesn't do anything. It's just a place for you to apply. Passport, select the banks you need to register online. Otherwise, you can walk in Home Affairs. Okay. Happy Veterans Day. What's that? It's not Veterans Day. All right, I'm going to catch up. Looked online for jobs in West Virginia. We have friends there for a job my husband qualifies for, and the pay is 3 times what he pays now. Only thing stopping me is mostly my parents. We want them there. Gotcha, Sonia. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, Hugo Bassan's Social Security number is, legally, it's not an identity number. It's illegal. That's against federal law, but it's used de facto as an identity number. That's correct. But a lot of places aren't using it anymore. So, for instance, my military ID card no longer has my Social Security number on it. It's not an identity number. Yep. They removed it. There's no number on here. I have a DOD identity number, Department of Defense identity number on my military ID card. So they did this about 10 years ago because of identity theft. So there's no Social Security number on here. My driver's license does not have my Social Security number. So when you say it's an identity number, not really. Not really. This has a driver's license number, not a Social Security number. 25 years ago, most places would put the Social Security number on here, and we've had millions of people become victims of identity theft because people get Social Security number. So it's becoming not the case anymore. It was the case for a long time. Lots of banks do it for Home Affairs. How long before you can apply? Sonia, gosh. If you come to America as a refugee, wherever you come from, you have to apply for a green card within the first 12 months. You get a green card, you get a Social Security number. If you don't break the laws, if you didn't commit fraud in coming here, you can apply for citizenship after 5 years. Hey, Chronic. Steven says, if I have right Social Security number, driver's license, proof of insurance, if you're going to drive, is about all you need. You don't need a Social Security number to drive. You need a driver's license from a state. If you're coming from abroad, you can drive on your license overseas for a period of time. But then if you're residing in a state, you have to get a state license sooner or later. But you do have to have insurance to drive. I'm not aware of any state that allows you to drive without insurance. They have different rules on how you prove it. Which is also that we should take the time to go check my other videos and get informed. Yep. I need to shout more. You don't have to memorize anything, Quids. Why would you memorize it? You have a card. The number's on it. Just look at it. Did yours? Okay, Abby did hers at FMB. See, many banks do it. I think ABSA does it too. Will we get a brief on how America works and such before integrating? Chronic, yeah, I know you just popped in the chat, but I've said repeatedly there are sponsors. You'll get lots of help. Dawn Leipold, welcome to you. It depends on the state article, but yeah. Sometimes I have epilepsy seizure because of the right chronic medication. Yes. Who do you think develops that medication, Sonia? We're the world's pharmacy. There's GlaxoSmithKline and Oxo Nobel in Norway, and there's Sandoz in Switzerland, and a few German pharmaceuticals. But most of the drugs that you consume were made in America, developed here. We're the ones that bear the cost. That's why it's so expensive here. Yeah, you'll be able to find the drugs. What you won't be able to get is paracetamol. Ugh, that stuff is useless. Okay. Apply for your passport at your bank. Did mine FMB. One can do a passport FMB. You guys all tell, okay, Arctic, it's going to be quite a discussion about driving on the right side of the road, especially on highways and such. Yeah, you have to have vehicle registration. Very good question. Will I be able to take my meds with me? Yes, you can take meds. Yeah, you going. So when you go on a plane, you can't take like 80,000 of them. You can take your current prescription with you. If you've got a longer one, you can take your meds with you. I don't even take these. That's for neuropathy. I don't even take it. Okay. I think the European nations are fools and they're just idiots. Good morning. Does the consulate stamp your passport as refugee? I have no idea, Pierre Rousseau. We don't have a refugee stamp to my knowledge. The consular section wasn't going to stamp your passport anyway. Only immigration will stamp it when you come to America. You won't have a passport that says you're a refugee. What do you mean? Are you forming a scenario in your head, Pierre? That's what it sounds like. I'm guessing, based on your question, because you only have so much text to ask your question, I'm assuming that what you're saying is that if I go to the embassy and apply, or if I go, first off, you're not going to go to the embassy most likely. You're going to go to some building somewhere that it's rented and a third party is going to do this on behalf of the State Department, most likely. You apply and they approve your refugee status, and so you're asking, are they going to stamp your passport so if you get stopped by the South African cops, they'll beat the shit out of you because now you want to leave the country and you're a traitor? Is that what you're worried about? I suspect that's what you're going. No, they have no right to stamp your passport unless they're giving you a visa. Maybe the visa will say something like that, but I don't imagine that's the case. You're not going to have a visa. Again, this is an unusual circumstance, folks. We don't know until they get the information. And even then, we won't have some of this information because it's only things that will be known by our diplomats in South Africa. So I don't know how to answer your question. I answered as best I could. We don't have to worry about kicking the criminals out. We've got space for you now. She need to confirm the Bulls lost to the Stormers. Oh, they did. And the Sharks lost as well. Arc position, well said. Bulls didn't get rugby stamps. Okay, it was 1916. I know, I covered it. Erica, Rugby Ascendant, live play-by-play and color commentary. I had to stand in line for 3 hours and 20 minutes for that boring game because of the rain delay. Oof, I spent 4 hours online for that thing. All right, I'm going to cover one thing. So this is another thing. So I already covered the story earlier. A lot of you popped in after the fact. The U.S. cuts funding to civil society organizations assisting refugees in the U.S. That's a true story that's meant to mislead you. I've covered that. Now I'm going to talk not USA, but USA. So we have a group of Beta Indas who are saying hashtag not a victim, who are trying to dissuade people from becoming refugees. Again, I am not trying to encourage anyone to leave South Africa. I'm also not here to discourage you. It's not my place. I am not in your shoes. I don't know your circumstances. All I can tell you is I don't want you all showing up in my house. You're not welcome here. That's all I can tell you. You stay in South Africa, awesome. Awesome for you. You leave for South Africa to come to America, well, that's an experience that you will go through. That's not my role here. I'm not here to dissuade you. I'm not here to encourage you. This is a personal decision. It's sad that it came to this, but yeah. But these people are evil. Here they are. So, all right, this is another effort by Propaganda 24 to dissuade people. The Not USA, but You South Africa campaign comes after Solidarity Movement sent a delegation to the White House to ask U.S. to fund an Afrikaner settlement. That is not what they did. That's an interpretation that is factually incorrect. That is not what they asked for. That is not what they asked for. This is propaganda and lies by Propaganda 24. Pretoria-based group is calling for white South Africans to refrain from victimhood and is encouraging unity among black and white South Africans. Isn't it funny how all these people, Agri-SA, John Steenhuisen, the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, Cyril Ramaphosa, these clowns here, all suddenly care about white South Africans and Afrikaners. Nobody gave a crap about you on February 6th. Nobody gave a crap about you on February 6th. Encouraging unity among black and white South Africans amid U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order offering to resettle Afrikaner refugees. The group Better Enders, or Better Enders, which is a play on the Never Say Die Bitter Enders, said it was dedicated to a better end without bitterness and has launched a campaign, not USA, but You South Africa, stating its members are not interested in seeking asylum and do not regard themselves as victims. Well, I don't give two flying shakes of a rat's ass what they're interested in because there's no offer of asylum. These morons. Well, there's no offer of asylum. They don't even know what they're talking about. They're mixing metaphors, they're mixing vocabulary. There is no offer of asylum for South Africans. You have to be here to apply for it. So these morons can run all their mouths they want. Okay. Not USA, but You, South Africa. The Not USA, but You, South Africa campaign comes after the Solidarity Movement took advantage of Trump's hostility to the South African government and sent the delegate. Excuse me. See, that's more propaganda. Who's the asswipe that wrote this? Sebepile Metebwa. You're a dumbass. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. You can tell him I said that. President Trump's hostility to South Africa? You're a moron. These people are stupid. There's no hostility towards South Africa. If there was hostility towards South Africa, you would be out of AGOA, which that's not even hostility. You're not eligible for it, so you wouldn't even be in it. So let's just cover this. Let me find these slides and go back here. Take me a moment here. Okay. What the heck? There we go. Okay. Let me find it. I'm going to find the list of egregious offenses, a small list of egregious offenses against USA. Okay, here we go. So here we go. These are just some of the things that the South African government has done to the USA, disrespected us, and threatened our national interests in the past couple of years. Whoops, that's not it. Let me get back up here. There you go. So, they imposed a 75% tariff on U.S. poultry when we offer no tariffs on South African goods in a protectionist measure intended to harm our poultry industry. They abstained and refused to condemn Russia's invasion in 2022 in March, Ramaphosa's lie and his racist narrative of vaccine apartheid slander. They're cozy with designated terrorist group Hamas. They refused to condemn Hamas on the 7 October 2023 attack. In fact, Naledi Pandor congratulated them in a telephone call, and then they blamed Israel for Hamas's terrorist attack. They hosted the sanctioned Russian cargo ship Lady R, ignoring polite, discreet diplomatic requests for 5 months and blowing us off because they don't think we matter. Then they held a naval exercise with Chinese communists in Russian called Operation Mosi 2 from the 17th to 27th of February 2023. They held anti-American ties with Moscow, Beijing, and Havana. They're actively trying to undermine the U.S. currency with BRICS currency, and undermine is the currency of trade, international trade. Ramaphosa's populist attacks on Trump. He can keep his America. We will keep our South Africa. I don't know what Donald Trump knows about South Africa. Remember that? They joined 83 other states attacking the United States over Trump's sanctions on International Criminal Court on February of 2025. They refused to sign Article 98 waiver for the Rome Statute. They demanded that Taipei close its diplomatic mission in Hatfield. They violate the Vienna Convention, charging diplomatic aircraft fees by airports company South Africa, State-owned and parastatal. That's in violation of the Vienna Convention. They're a money laundering and terror financing location. They're gray listed as a consequence. They authorized the United States sanctioned Russian military cargo airplane to land at South African Air Force Base at Waterkloof. They recruited former U.S. and NATO pilots to train Combat People's Liberation Army at the Test Flying Academy in South Africa, and they participated in a Chinese Communist Party funded political training school in Tanzania. And these are just a smattering of all the offenses against the United States. They intentionally undermine our national security interests. The hostility is coming from Pretoria, not from Washington, D.C., this Silabili clown. Wow. We are in South Africa, and that does not mean that we are blind to the issues of South Africa, but the offer of asylum is absolutely ridiculous, says Johan Erasmus, co-founder. Well, Johan Erasmus, you know what you're talking about. There's no offer of asylum, dingbat doorknob. There's no offer of asylum. You know what you're talking about. Get your act together. If you're going to create this fake group to mislead South Africans, at least get your facts straight. It's refugee status. It's not asylum. The offer of asylum is unfortunately a narrative that has spawned out of white victimhood that has gotten out of hand completely. What we're essentially asking for is other Afrikaners to join us, but we're also telling black South Africans we are committed to this country. And then he starts talking about the whites only line, Ni Blanki, from the apartheid era. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Over half the country is born after apartheid. That has nothing to do with the situation. But these clowns harken back to that nonsense. So, yeah. Anyway, what a bunch of clowns. Um, 180 nations haven't slighted the United States, Holden Caulfield. No. Are 180 other nations actively working with Iran to help them get nuclear weapons? No. South Africa is. I didn't see that interview, Charmaine. Yeah, Kara Rasmus saying exactly my point. Nobody cared about White Afrikaners before 7 February. Yep. People are serious about it, then I'm going to refer them here. Exactly. Children's passports are good for 5 years. You're correct. Well, that depends on age, Kai. A 15-year-old usually gets a 10-year passport, but a toddler gets a 5 years because they change so much. Things are going to get very heated. Okay. Will there be special treatment for Stormers fans? There will be for me. I might even let you come to my house if you're a Stormers fan. All right, I got to wrap up, folks. I got to get to bed. All right, so thank you all for being here. I also want to make a quick video about that news story and expose that as fake news. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. 427 people. I'm going to play Colonel Wyatt's anthem for the people who don't know it. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all your questions, and if I hurt your feelings, oh, that's too bad. I treated people fairly, but people were rude to me, and they got smacked back for it. You got to clap on it. So, all right, have a good night, folks. A good day, and I'll see you tomorrow on my mobile phone in about 10 hours. Yeah, 10 hours or thereabouts. It'll be between 6 and 7 when I do my broadcast. I'll do it as quick as I can, and it'll be from my mobile in my car. Cheers, everybody.
Colonel Wyatt hits the screen, got stories bold and keen. Old soldier, sharp and mean, tells truths they've never seen. Rugby lover with a roar, Africa flowing in his core. YouTube rants they can't ignore, his passion makes his heart soar. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Military mind, keen and wise, truths come out, no disguise. South African skies in his eyes, hear his voice, no surprise. Retired soldier with the fight, in the dark he brings the light. Angry rants, truths ignite, join the cause, join the ride. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Enemies knocked on his door, trolls attack, but he's more with each click. Watch him soar on the truth waves, he explodes. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Right now, don't miss the brawl.